What a great day to be an Eagle. One more time for the greatest team in America.
All right, Eagle Nation, the 2025 college football season has come to a close for the Georgia Southern Eagles. Georgia Southern, it was the fourth time was a charm, Cody.
It was.
With
It was.
finally ending the season with a postseason win in 4 tries, a 29-10 win in the J-Lab Birmingham Bowl against Sunbelt foe and arch rival App State. 29-10, like I said. We'll talk about that game. The Eagles finished 7-6 overall. Technically 4-4 in Sunbelt play. I guess you could maybe say 5-4. Obviously it wasn't a conference game, but we'll talk about that. But man, so much to talk about here in what will be our kind of like officially unofficial final episode of season 8. We'll take a break after this, but there is so much to unpack between now and when we kind of take it up here in a couple weeks with spring football and all that. So the portal, coaching changes, coaches leaving, coaches coming in, just the state of college football, like we spent a lot of time talking about last time. Obviously, since we recorded last, JMU, Tulane, their seasons are done in the college football playoff. So yeah, a lot to unpack. We're going to try to do it in kind of a stepwise fashion. We'll see how that goes, but welcome to Gotta Talk. I'm Matt. That's Cody. And, first and foremost, thank you to the fans, for listening to us this season. And if you've been with us from the start all the way back to 2018, thank you. Obviously added the video component this year on YouTube. That was a new addition. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you are not subscribed to us on YouTube, definitely go do that. And if you're not subscribed on your listening platform of choice, Spotify, Apple, what have you, go do that. Leave a review. I never do that whole spiel because, I know people skip through it and whatever, but it really helps us out. So go on, give a 5-star review. If you give a written review, even better. If it's not 5 stars, don't bother. But that helps us out. It helps people find us and discover us. So we grew a ton this year. YouTube was a big part of that, but obviously want to continue that growth as we go into season 9 and beyond. Welcome to Gotta Talk. And after the fans, the big thank you is to our sponsors. So title sponsor, Can Cut Tools, been with us for several years. We thank them. Andy Thompson, texting with him during the bowl game. It's always Hail Southern, no place else. He's happy to finally get that monkey off the back and get that win. But yeah, so we thank them. Got the sticker here, Cody Can Cut.
Look at that.
So look at that.
Looks like a drill on the case.
There's 2 drills, so premium drill bits and cutting tools. You know them, you love them. Again, if it doesn't apply to you, it probably applies to somebody you know. So go check them out at cancut.com, KNKUT.com. It's a Georgia small business, all American made stuff, premium stuff. It's not the drill bits that you're going to find at Lowe's and Home Depot. So if you're serious about your craft, whatever that is, go give them a chance at cancut.com, KNKUT.com. Secondary sponsor, Section 103 apparel company. New came on not even at the beginning of the season, middle of the season, Cody, kind of out of nowhere. They were founded by some Georgia Tech grads. They had a bunch of tech merch, some really unique tech merch, expanded to LSU. Then us, then Kennesaw State. I think there might be up to 5 teams now, but they were tweeting us at the bowl because we're the only team in Georgia, right, to win the bowl game.
Yes.
So we thank them. Go check them out. Section103.com. You can save 10% using code GATATALK at checkout. Yeah. Go check them out. Thank you to the sponsors. Let's jump in to the bowl game first.
Yes.
So again, get the monkey off her back, 29-10, pretty comfortable the whole game. There was a couple of moments there, a couple of moments maybe in the third quarter and stuff. But, we, go first half, obviously closer than we wanted it to be. 13-7 at the half. We get 13 in the third quarter. We shut them out in the fourth, win 29-10. The real storyline of the game was, bend don't break defense with Coach Safford being the defensive play caller, defensive backs coach. He was, after the game, the Sunday after the game, promoted to assistant head coach, still coaching defensive backs under new defensive coordinator Mike Mutz. But yeah, I mean, they gave up a ton of yards, right? I believe right around 400, but they got 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions, I think 3 of which came into the red zone, crucial moments. So, we've seen it before. We've seen it with the Brandon Bailey defense, but I would say it was like at its kind of peak with this one.
Yeah, I am more forgiving of the defensive performance just because of all the chaos that surrounded the defense at the end of the season and then going into this, where you didn't really know your opponent. I mean, I know we played App State at the beginning, but didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. You didn't really know who was going to show up in terms of their
60-something players, right?
68 players.
Yeah, 68
players showed up. You didn't know sort of how their offense would flow. You knew it would probably look different, but to what extent, you didn't know any of that. And again, to me, schematically wise, your defense has just been, behind the, putting itself with one arm behind its back the entire season, just because I don't feel like we've ever been scheme wise set at all. So you can't reinvent the defense in the 15 practices. And so he has to work with what he's got. 29 is more than 10. The 4 interceptions was great. I thought they did what they needed to do with 2 inexperienced quarterbacks. They took advantage of the mistakes that they made. I felt App State helped us out a little bit with their play calling at times. To me, would have probably ran the ball a lot more than what they did, especially when they got into the red zone instead of trying to throw some of those passes. But again, how can I put this? I commend Coach Safford for what he did, because that was, to me, more than what I could ask for. 10 points in a game, less than 400 yards, plus 4
You're talking about
turnovers.
a couple of weeks where you get thrust into this situation and you have to make do with it.
Exactly.
And, I think he did the best that you could possibly ask for, like you said.
I agree with that. Yeah. I can't be too critical on him or the defense. Now,
the players are the players, right? Like you have, and we're going to get into this. We're going to do a whole season breakdown of like where we finish offensively, defensively, where they rank in FBS and all that. Like the defense is bad. We know it, right? So like the players are the players, portal, all this kind of stuff, recruiting class.
I think 10 points is the lowest point total?
It was, Maine was 17, 19, something like that. So yeah, that's what I'm saying is like you brought, I get it. You're playing a 4-string quarterback that was a, scout team quarterback and recruited as a defensive back. Like you said, I think
he played great.
I thought he played fantastic. A lot of App fans, I was following along with their threads and stuff, and they were saying like, could this be QB1 with just some development? Right. Yeah. Because he's got the chops, right? He had
development and better play calling.
Because like you said, they shot themselves in the foot.
Yes.
Like they got in the red zone. And it's like, they were simplifying it. I get it, but we had no answer for it. Like between the 20s, stretch left, stretch right, get on the perimeter with the blocking, and there you go.
So it'll be interesting to see what App does and see what they pick up in the portal and how their team develops. But in terms of the defensive performance, I don't think I could have asked for anything better from what we saw. Was it perfect? Was it great? Was it anything that no. But
you're not going to expect that.
Yeah, you're not going to expect that. Now, I will be very critical of the offensive play calling and what we saw at times out of the offense with not putting this away as early as what they should have.
100%. I think this game
until we get to there, but
I was about to say this game I think was a microcosm of kind of like
what
going into what next year's going to be, right? Because it's like I think we're gonna turn the tide on defense with Mike Mutz coming in, with having experience there, elevating Safford, bringing Chance Gamble back, doing an overhaul personnel wise, especially up front in the front 7.
Yeah.
I think we're going to take a lot of steps forward defensively, but the offense, I would say where, you could argue that the defense had their best showing. I mean, like you said, like points matter, right? Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's how many points you score and
the
how many
only thing
points
that
you give up.
matters.
It's the only thing that matters. So like total
Yeah.
defense, total offense, it's judged on yards per game. And yes, that's a leading indicator, right, of this other stuff. But ultimately, it doesn't paint the entire picture, right?
No.
So like, yeah, we gave up 400 yards, but we only gave up 10 points. That's a win all day.
Yep.
Right? Offensively, like you said, left a ton, like at least 10, you could argue 20 points on the board, with just bad play calling, maybe bad execution, but I think mainly bad play calling, bad situational awareness in a lot of those cases, bad clock management, things like that.
Yeah, there were times in which, again, first drive that we had, marched down, scored 7-0. Look fine, great, right? Can't ask for more. The second drive, I have a little bit of a problem with. We get the ball back. It's 7-0. If you can go up 14-0 with a fourth, with the freshman quarterbacks, you really put them up against the wall. Game's pretty much over at that point. And first play, 5-yard run, O.J. Arnold, great. 2nd and 5. You should not go 3 and out in that situation. But we do 2 pass plays that, to me, are not long route developing pass plays.
They weren't high efficiency.
Yeah, there you go, high efficiency. And 2 incomplete pass. One, JC had to run out the pocket and throw the ball away, and the other one, I forget exactly how, but I know there was an incomplete pass. And now you're 4th and 5. And that's my problem with Applin's offense at times, is that the play calling is just baffling as to, you just march down the field, you spread them out, you open up, you run, you pass, everything looked great. You go first play, 5 yards on a run. Why are we trying to go out of our brains here? Why don't we just keep it simple? If you want to do a pass play, do something easy. That's a little curl, a little hitch, something quick to get the 3, 4, 5 yards that you need and move the chains. Or better yet, you just got 5 yards on a run. O.J. Arnold, who surpassed 1,000 yards this season during this bowl game.
Yeah, kudos to him.
And he had a heck of a bowl game, individually wise.
Yep.
Give him the ball. Give him the ball and let him go, and then, go from there. Maybe it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. You probably get the first down at that point, and you march down the field. But that's not the only drive that I'm frustrated with. The trick play that led to the interception was another one that I had.
It's just, again, the situational awareness,
Yes,
right? It's just
yes.
we've talked about it so much on this podcast, but it's just like you don't need to do that stuff against this team. This is a team that's depleted, that's got a 4-string quarterback, that you don't know who the starting lineup is. Like you said, 68 players versus 85, and you've already seen them, you've already beat them, you've already, in their house, and you're up and you're doing razzle dazzle backyard football stuff, schoolyard football stuff. Like, it's not needed. It's not necessary. No. Like, do that to possibly beat Clemson. Do that to beat USC, maybe. But like, you don't need to do that against not even a peer at this point. It's not even disrespect to App. I think they agree with this. They had a really down year. I mean, They finished 5-8. So their worst season in FBS history. So like, you don't need to do special stuff. I don't care. Just because it's in the playbook, you don't have to call it.
I will say this. If we were already up by 3 or 4 scores and you just wanted to have fun with Dalen Cobb and Camden Brown in their last game together, fine. That's for it at that point.
Give the seniors a moment.
Yes.
That's different than just like, we're going to do this thing, like catch them off guard. You don't need to catch them off guard.
No, when you're up by 16 and then you give them the turnover to where...
Give them momentum.
Yeah. Now they have momentum. Now if they score and get 2, now it's a 1-possession game late in the game with a team that we really should already be up by 3 or 4 scores on.
100%.
Now we're starting to feel tight. Now they're starting to feel loose because nobody thought they could win this game anyways. And now they're in the, with a quarter left. Here we go. It's for the game, and it's rivalry. We've seen crazier things happen in this rivalry than if they would have came back and won. It would, again, that was something that was completely unneeded. That didn't need to be called. And I think we were inside the 50 at that point. So we were getting close to at least field goal range.
Something like that, maybe the 45 or something. But yeah, we definitely weren't in like deep in their
Correct.
territory.
Yeah, we weren't like deep no.
And again, it's just to me, it's just like amateur hour. Like I've said
Yes.
it before. I'm sorry, it just is. It's like, to me, it's like you're just trying to play like NFL Blitz or whatever, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm going to do this like razzle dazzle thing, and I might make Sports Center. It's like, no, we're the superior team. Run your offense.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's
all we needed to do. And so, and again, there was a couple other drives where it was the same thing, where the play calling just was mystifying. It didn't make sense. And again, that's a theme through, I think, the last 2 seasons of Applin, is that you just have drive that just are baffling as to why we call the plays that we call, that seemingly kill the momentum of the game for us, right? We talk about how important it is, whether it's the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth, when you have those kill shots to go ahead and take out the opponent and really put the pressure on them to put the game out of reach. And we fail to do that, it seems to, with this offense. It just does. And so it's frustrating. It's and now we have a lot more questions going into the next season.
We do.
But,
which we'll get into.
Yeah.
I want to take a quick segue here into, like, I know it sounds like we're being really critical. It's like we won 29-10. We're being critical of the coaching staff.
54-10.
We're being critical of the coaching staff, not the players, because we feel like they could have been better prepared. We feel like they could have been, had better play calls for them to execute. So in no way, shape, or form is this like an indictment on the players. It's just being critical of really the offensive staff, which for all intents and purposes is staying intact going into 2026. And that does lead to concerns, because again, like I would say, we didn't see anything new out of our offense. If anything, it was kind of a lackadaisical kind of showing, right? Because again, it was just the inferior opponent. It just was, not because it was an app or anything like that, just because they were depleted. So and that's cause for concern. You can't score more than 30 points against that team with a 4th-string quarterback. Your defense gives you 4 interceptions. That's concerning going into next year. Like, what's going to change, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. We'll get into the stats and stuff, and kind of it's not just a 1-game sample size. It's, trend over time that we're seeing over the last 2 years under Ryan Applin. So we'll dig into that here in a minute. But I do want to take a quick shift, Cody, to the players and highlight some of them, especially the seniors and stuff. So really, I guess we could start with O.J. Arnold in this game. Only 11 carries, 152 yards, 13.8 yards per carry. To your point, just feed the man.
Yeah.
And
it's just, why only 11 carries? Why is he not getting 20?
I know. And I will say, it seemed like it was spread out. So we've seen in the past, right, where it's like, they go off in the first half and you see they get 2 carries in the second half for some reason. It seemed, at least watching it, that it was pretty spread out. But yeah, anyway, no touchdowns, but 152 yards. He was the MVP of the game, got the little mini Vulcan trophy, which is an awesome trophy. And so shout out to him, and just overall, not just the game, but 32 yards, 1,000-yard rusher. Certainly not the first 1,000-yard rusher in Georgia Southern history, but the first, I believe, since 2020 or 2019.
I can't remember, but it's been since the Lunsford years for sure.
Yeah. So first time in the Clay Helton era, over 1,000-yard rusher. Only 5 touchdowns on the year, 144 carries, 7.2 yards average.
Again,
for O.J. Arnold.
You have somebody averaging 7 yards a carry. Why are we not feeding him the ball more? Gets back to our issue with Applin's play calling and his design. So, I get it. Maybe you can say that at times we were down too much to be running the ball, or we put ourselves in holes.
And it's not home run plays either, right? I mean, like, you had like the Breida year where he far eclipsed 1,000 yards, and like hashtag he gone, and 60
but
plus
Breida
yards.
wasn't breaking 60-yard runs every time he touched the ball.
Not every time, yeah.
No.
And OJ wasn't either, and that's my
Correct.
point. It's an average, but he had home run plays, but he had a lot of other 4 to 6 yard runs, which are solid,
which are better than incomplete passes or turnover.
Yes, exactly. poorly designed, long
Yeah.
to develop passing plays.
Yes, exactly. Tremendous season. I think that yards per carry was like 6th best all time. I think I saw something on the football website about that, or their social media. No, that's a huge accomplishment. And again, you couldn't ask for a better way to go out. His last season, definition of leaving it all out there on the field.
100%. Second one's got to be Camden Brown. I mean, like,
Now this one kind of ticks me off more than OJ Arnold does. I'm just
in the game, yeah. So, arguably, I mean, maybe not even arguably. I haven't compared it, but his worst game and again, not an indictment on him, but only 2 receptions, maybe 3-4 targets. I want to say he wasn't even targeted that much. I know Weston Bryan targeted him in the end zone.
Yeah,
he might have had 1 or 2 others. So I would say like max 5 targets. I don't have that in front of me, but 2 receptions, 30 yards, no touchdowns, 15-yard average. So like pedestrian game, right? For an elite wide receiver that I think will play on Sundays. I think will get drafted here pretty soon. Obviously historic season, 1,079 yards he finishes with, 65 receptions on the season, 14 touchdowns, tied for first in all of FBS, 0.6 yards per catch. Yeah, I mean, again, he is the case study, the poster child for like give somebody an opportunity. He was a guy that had a little bit of like flash in the pan immediate success at Auburn early on, then tapered off, had some drops, didn't get a lot of playing time, came here kind of as a flyer, and I mean became our first 1,000-yard receiver in program history.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to see if I could look up if the targeting numbers for him in the bowl game, but I couldn't find those.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, obviously I think the best season ever for a wide receiver here at Georgia Southern.
Easily.
So
and both receptions, yards, and touchdowns.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Just a complete, just everything that we were hoping for and then some when he was recruited and came in, and we knew that he was going to be wide receiver 1, but we just didn't know to what extent that would be. And wow, what a season.
I didn't expect it, honestly, Cody. I mean, I try to like downplay the hype and stuff because you just don't know. I mean, again, like you have a guy, and I want to get to this when we get to the portal stuff of like, you see these different guys where they're like, they come from a P4 school, they had all the accolades coming out of high school. They had all the stars and stuff. So we get enamored by that. Oh, they were a 4-star. Oh, they were this, and it's great that we're getting those guys now, but we're also getting those FCS guys or those Division II guys that have something to prove. And sometimes those guys make it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes, vice versa on the P4 side. This obviously was a success Cinderella story. On that one, I tried not to buy into the hype because again, it was just like, yeah, he came from Auburn. I get it, kind of blue blood program, SEC program, great high school numbers and all that, highly recruited. But I mean, he had drop troubles. He didn't really do anything of significance. No, the resume wasn't there, right?
Correct.
It's why he came to us, right? I mean, otherwise he would be at another P4. Making a bunch of NIL money. But man, you talk about a guy came in, seized the opportunity, was humble about it. I mean, every interview is just how thankful he is. I mean, you cannot, I don't want to borrow like the whole like GS man thing, because I know that was like Lunsford thing, but I mean, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
It's like a kid like that being like, look, man, like in the world of NIL, in the world of transfer portal and all this, like, I just want a chance. I just want an opportunity to show what I can do. And ultimately, and like what it used to be is like, I want a shot to play on Sundays. Right. And like, I think he earned his chance to play on Sundays now with if he stayed at Auburn, he probably wouldn't have had that.
No.
If he went to another P4, probably wouldn't have had that. He came to us. I think he at least made a strong case of, I'm an NFL player.
Yeah. He's going to get a lot of eyeballs on him for sure. Now, whether he gets drafted or if it's, unsigned or undrafted free agent, that remains to be seen. But he definitely got a lot more eyeballs on him coming here and having the season that he had compared to if he would have stayed at Auburn for another year, if he would have went to another Power 4 school and got somewhere on the depth chart there. So just historic season, just overall. I don't know. We'll see how long it stands. It may stand for 5 years. It may stand for 20. Who knows how long? But to end your season with the school record and receptions, yards, and touchdowns, and then also
everything.
as of right now, still number 1 in TD receptions in all of college football.
Yeah, 14 is going to be hard to beat.
Yeah,
Like,
he couldn't. I don't know if he could have done any more with what he was given. So I mean, I wish him all the best. We wish him all the best, and hopefully he can be playing on Sundays. Maybe in Atlanta.
maybe.
I
mean, yeah, take a flyer on the kid. I mean, again, you see Puka Nakua,
yeah.
right? I mean, you see these guys from these smaller schools. I mean, he was even smaller. Eastern Washington, right?
No, not Puka. Puka was BYU.
He was BYU.
The BYU team that came to Statesboro had Puka and Tyler Agier. And I don't know, was Zach Wilson on that? I don't know if
I'm
Wilson...
thinking Cooper Kupp was
yes.
Eastern Washington, Redfield. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, you never know where these guys are going to come from.
No.
And again, like look, I'm not a fan of the transfer portal. Not in the state that it is today with like all the like super unregulated. I'm not a fan of the NIL, again, being so unregulated. But the story of a Camden Brown makes it worth it.
Yes.
Right? Because like it's just like, man, you got a kid like had potential, went to a situation, it doesn't work out. You see it in life. You see it in relationships.
Yep.
You see it in careers, right? Like you go somewhere and it's like, man, that guy didn't pan out. He went to this other company. He's a CEO now, like you see it. So yeah, I think like it's just an example of like where it works.
Yes.
Where it actually works.
Absolutely.
So defense, let's not, right, again, collectively defense didn't have a good year. This game looked good. 10 points, 4 turnovers. Dorian Smith, a guy who, really kind of was put on the map, I would say, in this game, but 2 interceptions in this one.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Only 2 interceptions on the season.
Interceptions. One of them was a heck of a play where he had to dive, and that was not an easy catch by no means to make that interception.
No, so he is a senior. I don't know if he has a year of eligibility, maybe. Hopefully he does. I haven't seen his name in the transfer portal or anything like that. He had 29 solo tackles, 3 forced fumbles, which is crazy.
Yeah.
The 2 interceptions on the year, which both came in the bowl game, and 3 pass defended. But going back to defense, Devin Collier had an interception. Tracy Holt Jr. had an interception. I believe both of those guys are coming back. I think Collier is a freshman, and then Tracy Holt Jr. is a junior. So he's not in the transfer portal.
Okay.
As of the time that we're recording this, so we're recording this, I guess, disclaimer, Saturday, January 3rd, late at night. So day 2 of the transfer portal, 7,500 players in
something crazy.
Something crazy. It's like 20% of all of college football at every level or something. But yeah, Tracy Hill Jr., is a guy that we talked about a lot going into the season out of Athens, 6'2", 200 pounds, 35 tackles on the season, 1 interception came in this bowl game, 7 pass defended. It seems coming back. So that's going to be great. We'll get into it here in a second once we get into like the full-fledged, transfer portal section of the episode. But Chase Gamble's coming back.
Yes.
As well, which is going to be great. So,
should we do our defense of Josh Aubrey real quick? Because I know he took a lot of heat for when.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you. Yeah, we talked for almost an hour of going through like how, because there's so much to unpack in this episode.
There is,
and it's, I mean, we could talk for an hour about the bowl game. We could talk for an hour about the transfer portal. But yes, thank you. We didn't bring up you didn't bring up Josh Aubrey, but thank you for doing it. 2 things there, right?
Yes.
So yeah, for Josh Aubrey, for those who don't know, on Twitter, maybe on other socials, but definitely on Twitter, he had put out early in the season I want to say after like week 5 or
I think
something
it
like
was somewhere
that.
like mid to late October, 1st of November. It was
Okay.
somewhere
So
between week like 6
it
and
was
8.
at least like a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And he basically was like, hey, it was kind of at a down point of the year. We were out of contention in the Sun Belt
Yes.
East. It was like all doom and gloom. And he was like, hey, just so you know, Chance Gamble's gone.
Yeah, it was like
Josh
I'm hearing
Dallas is
reports
gone.
that Josh Dallas,
Yeah.
like specifically Josh Dallas and Chance Gable were going to the portal. Okay, and he said nothing official, obviously, but
He had
just
an inside source.
inside source just said forewarn this may be what's gonna happen. And then obviously this right after the bowl game, or not right after the bowl game, but between the bowl game and when the time the transfer portal was gonna open, both players announced their intentions to stay at Georgia Southern, which is great. But Josh did take a lot of slack on online.
It's like players can't change their mind, right?
Yeah.
Cody? Like they don't have a mind of their own. Like,
Correct.
I mean, and like again, you're talking 2 months ago. Like maybe you have a change of heart. It happens.
Well, again, change of heart. Also, you have to take in what has happened specifically in the last 3 weeks. One,
New defensive coordinator.
Well, one, a new defensive coordinator, but two, we went from 3-6, 4-6 to now 7-6. New defensive coordinator. To me, we kept an important part of the staff with Darius Safford or Coach Safford.
For Gamble, that sealed it.
I think that's a huge part.
Yeah. I think a huge part because for those who don't know, he was Gamble's original college coach at Kennesaw State.
Correct.
And then he followed him down here. So like if Safford had left one way or another on his own accord or not, I think Gamble's gone.
Correct. And so I think that was a huge part. And again, at the time that maybe Aubrey was getting his information from his sources, it may have been up in the air of if anybody on the defensive staff was going to be staying, because I'm sure at that point they knew that the changes were coming to the defensive side of the football. So that was that. And again, with Josh Dallas, it's life. Again, 2 months, a lot can change.
He got married.
Yeah.
He got married during the season, I think.
Before the season, something like that. Yeah, he got married.
His brother is still enrolled. He's an assistant.
Correct.
Grad assistant
So it's several factors could be with that. I also see where, you saw how great of a season Camden Brown had and how he finished. And you're thinking, what could I do? Can I be that guy? And I think he can. I mean, he's a very good ball player. Very good ball.
100% can. He absolutely can. Yeah. We thought he was going to be this year.
Yeah, we did. We did.
I mean, I thought he was going to have a better season than Camden Brown.
Yes.
I did, because I didn't know anything about Camden Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it was like, oh, he came from Auburn. Cool. What has he done at Auburn? Well, nothing.
But I saw what Josh Dallas did the previous year, and that was exciting.
Yeah. He might not be able to start at Georgia State, but he's pretty good. And you talk about like the fire and stuff, that's the intangibles that you can't coach. Like he has a passion for the game. He's just a leader on and off the field.
Correct.
He's a faith-based individual. It's just, it's all the things that you want.
He comes from a winning culture. I mean, his high school teams that his dad's coach were always winning. Then they won the state champion their senior year. So again, that's the sort of man that you want to have around in your clubhouse, in your locker room, is somebody like that. So it's great. It's great that those two guys are coming back. I want to, it'd be interesting to see how the rest of the portal and all that comes about. But yeah, I don't give Josh too hard of a time online.
I was gonna say let's tie a bow on that, because like as a former journalist, soapbox moment, like, dude, he literally is the only guy that we have consistently, and this segue to this next part, consistently that's asking tough questions, that's asking hard questions.
I think we need Bud at more press conferences.
That was my segue. So yeah. So Bud or Bud Burris.
We need Bud at more stuff.
Yeah. Software engineer, donor to the program, former, student alumni, frat guy, all the things.
Small business owner too.
Small business owner. With
home entertainment thing going.
Really cool.
It is really
honestly.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. Is it home team? I should have this queued up.
We should have had that queued up. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bud.
We'll have to get that. Well, I'm sure if you listen to us, you're probably aware of him,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it's basically interactive with the smart lighting and the smart sound effects and all
Yes.
that. Any team you kind of want, it will play stuff.
If you want to look at it and see how it works, just go to his site or go to his X page, and also his Instagram page too.
Yep.
And he'll have
Got
videos.
it, bud. Got it, bud.
He'll have videos of everything and see how it works. And it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's revolutionary. And like, yeah. And so for those who don't know, he on a whim was like, hey, I'm going to the game. I'm going to the J-Lab Birmingham Bowl. Let's apply for media credentials. Not really knowing anything. And he got accepted and, made the most of it, honestly. And I've been chatting with him and stuff again as a former journalist. I've covered Georgia Southern for 3 years, a student journalist. I covered sports journalism for almost 6 years. I covered, non-sports for 4 years for a bunch of papers. But yeah, like I reached out, I was like, hey man, honestly, like some of the questions and stuff he asked, while there's little critiques and stuff in there, I'm like, man, you did better than like some of the guys have been doing this for decades, honestly. And it's good to get just that newness, that freshness in there, and someone that's like truly passionate, that's a fan. And obviously that's not like that's against journalism 101, right? Of like being objective and all this. But
who's
like
more objective than fans, right? Or I guess it should be critical.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's our whole like mantra,
Yeah.
right? That's our whole like thing. It's like we bleed blue and white. Like, I mean, you and I, like, I mean, like we do this on our own time, our own money, like, and we do it because we love Georgia Southern football, and we also love the fans. Like, we wouldn't do it if people didn't listen and people didn't care. And obviously, people cared about Bud and his coverage, and he saw record, highs on views and stuff across channels on his questions. And again, like the 2 questions that I saw him ask, they were great questions. And honestly, the answers from head coach Clay Helton, maybe the best answers I've heard from him in his entire tenure here. I'm not like, it's not like hyperbole. Like it's like they were really good questions and they led to like really thoughtful answers.
Yeah.
So it just shows you, like, again, Josh Aubrey does it all the time. He's the one that we can count on. He was there when I was there as a student journalist more than a decade ago, 15 plus years ago.
I know.
And but yeah, I mean, gotta bud, man. It's good to get that, like, that fresh blood in there, ask those tough questions, and kudos to Clay Helton, honestly, for giving a thoughtful answer. Cause I thought of how you navigate the transfer portal, how you kind of deal with coaching changes of bringing in a new guy, and Safford's here, and give him his spotlight and his time in the sun, but also like bring in Mutz to evaluate things. Like, it was really good stuff.
It was. Yeah. So my whole thing was, I understand that the way that things obviously, in my opinion, changed for the better in terms of having those 2 guys back, but don't give Josh a hard time. A lot can change in 2 months. And I know this because of our relationship and know how much you've spent with some of this journalism stuff.
It's a thankless job. I get it. People are like, we're not getting political or anything, but like they don't get paid a lot. It's sleepless nights. It's, working nights, working weekends, getting a lot of flack, not getting the praise when it's due, but getting all the criticism when it's not. Like, and it's just like, yeah. So I'm always going to have the back of someone that like truly is passionate about it. And like Josh Aubrey is that too.
And I don't think Josh would just say that unless he didn't feel confident in where he heard it from either. And also too, he wouldn't have put it out there just to try to get views or to ruffle up feathers.
No, he's not a clickbait guy.
No.
Like if he was a clickbait guy, frankly, he wouldn't be covering us anymore.
No,
like if he wanted to take that route, he would have gotten somewhere higher than where we're at, a bigger market. But yeah, But
what I can say is I'm sure from now going forward, anything he gets from that source, whoever it may be, I'm sure he's going to double check it now with somebody else that he trusts more now. So
you see it at every level.
It's live and learn.
I mean,
even if you've been doing it for 30 years, it's live and learn.
Like the best of the best.
Yeah.
Who's I'm blanking on the names, but like the ones that always like Woj always did the NBA stuff. I'm blanking on the like college
Pete
football
Thamel
stuff.
does all
Pete
the college.
Thamel, there you go, Pete Thamel. So like I'm sure he has a Rolodex, right, of just so many coaches and assistant coaches and big time donors and all this stuff. But like some are gonna hit, some are gonna miss, right? Because it's always gonna be game of telephone.
Yes.
The further you get away from like the top dog and the head coach and stuff, things might get, a little misconstrued. So his source could be very credible. They could have a 98% success rate, but like on this, either it was a miss or again, it's a change of heart and they changed their mind. It was 2 months ago. Lock and
Correct.
change. They're
A lot.
18 to 22-year-old kids. So yeah.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. Let's move on. Let's see where we at. Season recap. 43 minutes in, not too bad. Season recap.
All right. See if we can beat the episode of longest length in
2 hours. 205, 205.
something like that.
So
it was almost a black and gold episode.
Yeah, yeah, they're like 3 hours, man. Those things are epics. I didn't even listen to ours. The one for
I can't listen. I mean, no, they do a great job with their App State coverage. They do a fantastic job with what they do up there in Boone. But man, dude, they have some lengthy episodes at times.
Yeah, Anyway, so all right, let's get in season recap. This is in a preview of 2026. Obviously, we'll have that.
Mm-hmm.
Lot will happen. Transfer portal, all that kind of stuff. Spring game, all that. But the season is done.
Yes.
So let's talk about kind of where we finished. So we'll start with the defense. We know it's not good.
Big old F.
Big old F. I mean, honestly, yeah. If we're grading it, I mean, you can't give it anything more than F. I'm sorry.
No.
If you're grading it game by game, the bowl game, maybe you give a C plus, maybe even a B minus, maybe even B. 400 yards, 10 points. B.
Go on.
Benefit of the doubt. Well, again, for like we said before, for Stafford, given what he had, I think that's the best you could ask for. But overall, collectively, as a defense, one of the worst ever in Georgia Southern history. In fact, we pulled the numbers. We crunched the numbers. So it's the worst defense we've seen at Georgia Southern in the last 5 years. It's worse than the Bryan Van Gorder defenses.
Yes.
It's worse than one of the Summers defenses. It's the second worst overall in Georgia Southern history. 2017 Summers, second year Summers, is the only defense that ranks worse.
Going by yards per play, the metric.
Yards per play. Yeah, thank you, Cody.
So, no, you're absolutely right. If you're looking at total yards, it's second worst there for total yards in a season. So again, historically one of the worst defenses of all time, even historically bad in terms of just this year compared to all other college defenses. What was it, 134th, 135th or something ranked in all those?
132nd in total defense, is third from last in the country, 6.51 yards per play, like you said, 458.5 yards per game. That plays in the total defense number, which is, crazy. And again, that's with the bowl game, right? So like, which
the bowl
was
game
400
helped a little bit.
It helped. And then points per game, which they call scoring defense.
Yeah.
So scoring defense was I had this on here. Oh yeah, 32.31 points per game, 118th in the country.
Again,
32.31 points per game. We gave up 10 in the bowl game, so that brought that number down. I don't know what we were entering it. Maybe somewhere around like 35 or something. I don't know. But yeah, so like that's we talked in the preseason, Cody, about like, can this defense make that next step? Is year 3 of Brandon Bailey? What can he show there? Can we get to that like mid 20 range in points per game? Because again, that's what I ultimately look at. It's not how many yards you give up, it's how many points you give up. Can we get into that like 25, 26 points per game mark? Obviously came nowhere close.
No, we didn't come anywhere close. It's a big step backwards, and honestly was again, it led to a lot of, it led to a lot of disgruntled fans in the season. And it's a big reason why we didn't live up to the potential that I think a lot of folks had for us, which was to compete with JMU in the conference, to win this conference this year. JMU, that step with their defense, had a very strong defense to go along with their offense. I mean, you saw where they ended up at. We, on the other hand, did not. We took a giant step backwards with our defense. Didn't really take not really. You can say a small step forward in certain areas with the offense, but not like a big step forward with the offense. And you
We'll get there. We have all those numbers too. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
Let's focus on defense.
Yeah, but but essentially when you regress that badly on defense and don't really regress or progress with the offense, it leads to a bad season. And that's just what it was. And honestly, we compared to the first 2 Novembers of Clay Helton, the last 2 Novembers have been great. We finished 3-1 both Novembers. It saved our hide this season to make it to a bowl game going that well.
December now 1-3, I guess.
Yeah,
In December.
At least bowl games 1-3 now.
Bowl games 1-3.
So yeah, it's again not what we expected by no means, but
Rushing defense particularly was terrible. So that was 131st in the nation.
Which
so
if you're that bad, you can't stop the run. You're not going to stop anything.
You're
It's
not.
gonna
because it's
deplete
going to open up everything
Yeah.
else.
because you're going to have to overcompensate.
Yeah, it's 218 yards per game we gave up rushing. Again, 458 yards per game total. So obviously passing, teams passed more on average, which is typical, than rushing. But if you're giving up over 200 yards per game on average rushing, it's just a recipe for disaster, like
Exactly.
you said. So, and then I did put in here, not that it's a big high note, but red zone defense was decent, 5th in the country in red zone defense.
Okay.
So that one of our very, very few stats defensively where we were top 100.
Okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's not terrible.
It's something.
It's
Again,
something.
it's that bend don't break, and that was the whole thing that we kept talking about with Brandon Bailey. That was kind of his whole mantra, or
I'm just not a fan of that.
I'm not a fan of it.
I'm not.
No, shut it down. Right? Like if you give up, it is, what am I trying to say? It correlates. It correlates, right? So if total defense is measured by yards per game, but if you're under 400 yards per game, if you're under 350 yards per game, you more than likely are going to be in the better half of the country in points per game.
I don't understand that philosophy of bend don't break. And also too, here's the other thing too. When you have that bend don't break, you're usually giving up third down conversions in between the 20s. And so you're playing this constant game of field position, and you're probably not giving your offense at times the best field position to work with.
And we had terrible. We did.
We had terrible field position times, and also too, you're limiting the opportunities that your offense has to get the ball to score points, right? So, if you have the opportunity at 3rd and 12 to stop them and get off the field, and you don't take advantage of it, to me, that's a huge miss. That's a big miss in the game, and that's a big way to lose momentum. You're allowing the team to continue a drive that they honestly shouldn't be continuing. Which is why I'm glad that we have the defensive coordinator now that we have. When Matt and I first talked about Coach Mutz, well before he was hired, we read out his philosophy on the Stephen F. Austin.
I still want my finder's fee, Cody. I want my referral bonus.
I don't know if Chris Davis or anybody is going to listen to us on that one.
Probably not, but I mean, we did. We got proof. We got the receipts, as they say. But no, I mean, we were talking about him weeks before Bailey was let go.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that, but we will just say that on the Stephen, it states that one of his philosophies is to get the opponent off the field. Prides himself on, we get the 3rd down, we get the team off the field. That's what I want. That's what you
have A, B, and C,
yes.
right? It's get them off the field, stop them from scoring points, and then somewhere in there, a turnover, I guess, would be with that. It's but with Bailey, it was just we're gonna try to get turnovers.
With Bailey, it was
the whole philosophy was we're gonna try to get 2 to 3 turnovers.
But see, turnovers is such a one. It's kind of a random stat. It's a random
event. A lot of it's luck.
A lot of it's luck, but it's also you have to play good defense to create the turnovers, and we weren't playing good defense. So if you're playing bad defense, you're not going to create the turnovers that you hope to get
Not
the
against
stops that you
good
hope you won't.
teams.
No, exactly.
Right. And again, that's what you saw it against App State. Again, nothing against like Safford and the defense.
But
I've
never heard of Coach Saban harping on I want to create turnovers. He was always
No. It's a byproduct of having a good defense.
Yes.
Like you said, it's a byproduct. So yeah, like it was Bailey always seemed like it was almost it was like objective A. Like objective A was like that's our claim to fame. That's how we're gonna like get it done.
Correct.
Is turnovers. It's like no. Turnovers will come if you're a competent defense.
Correct.
If you're right, so
which if you haven't heard, he's off at JMU coaching their
He is. I mean, hey, kudos. What do we know? I mean, like he got a job very quickly.
Again, we're not saying that he doesn't know how to coach positions or players or that he doesn't have value somewhere. But at this point right now, being a defensive coordinator, especially here at Georgia Southern, just did not work out or was not in the cards.
No, and I mean, he's young, man. He was the youngest.
Very young.
He was the youngest, not even defensive coordinator, youngest coordinator in the country in all of FBS back in when he started. When he started at 23. In 23. So, not the case anymore, but yeah, I mean, it inexperience, like it just happens. We see it all the time. It's like, go get coached up, learn some things. Billy Napier now, like he's going to be able to kind of get mentored by him. And I mean, he very well could be a great defensive coordinator one day. Who knows? Or head coach. Who knows? Like he could be. And so let's turn to offense. And that's the big story, right? Because I think the defense was so historically bad. Like we said, second worst ever in Georgia Southern history. That it masked a lot of the inefficiencies and down parts of the offense.
Yes.
Downsides of the offense. Total offense, 53rd in the country. So looking at that at face value, like not terrible. Over 400 yards per game. I think the bowl game helped with that because they had close to 500 yards, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But 401.9, scoring 27.9, Cody. So that was 64th, which again, not terrible. Middle of the pack, literally like kind of right in the middle.
Yeah.
But we had said like 30 points is a sweet spot. And we had talked about it in the pregame. We talked about it on previous seasons of like 30 points per game is like what we have to aspire to as an offense, regardless of the OC, regardless of the quarterback, regardless of the offensive system. 30 points per game, that's it. And you and I were talking before this episode. The first 2 years under Helton, so that was when Bryan Ellis was offensive coordinator. We had 30 points per game, 30 plus points per game, 15 times.
Out of 26 games.
At 26 games. In the last 2 years, under Ryan Applin, 9 times.
Under 26 games.
Under 26 games.
So, so there seems to be a regression there in terms of the points scored. If you want to get into it more cumulatively, we have the last 2 seasons that we've scored under Applin's offense has been 364 and 363. Total points scored the entire season. If you look at under Coach Ellis, the first 2 seasons, it was 425 the first season with Kyle Van Treese, and then 392 under Bryn. When we thought Bryn was, obviously a big throwing machine. We were almost still scored close to 400 points that season. So if, again, what have we said this episode and what we've said, I think continuously, all the stats matter, but the most important one is points. Points-wise for offense, we've gone down under Applin.
We have.
And that is, to me, a concern. I think you're right that the defense, how historically bad they were, overshadowed, I think, a lot of the problems that our offense has. And that's why I think you had some fans out there that said, don't stop with the defensive change. Go ahead and change the offense because we need help there too. That did not happen. We did already lose our wide receivers coach to Tulsa. with BJ Johnson. This is an interesting change because it's a G5 to a G5 school. Don't know how much more money he's going to be making at Tulsa, but it is interesting to know that he went back to coach with somebody he's coached with in the past with Trey Lamb instead of stay here with us. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a fan of who we hired to replace him. I don't like the promotion that we had. Maybe the young guy has proved his talent. It just does not look good. Why not go out and see if we can find another young coach elsewhere?
There's so
who's
much turnover.
Yeah,
that
is coach. I mean, the
Yeah.
first year that Helton came to Statesboro, we hired Hawaii's wide receivers coach, who is now, I think, at Florida now as their wide receivers coach under Summerall. Granted, I think the Hawaii job the head coach had left after that season, but
something like that. Yeah,
something like that. But again, we went to another G5 school and got their wide receivers coach to come here. Why can't we at least process for 2 days and see if we can't put some fillers out there to see if there's anybody that's interested, whether it's an FCS, system that has done really well, or if it's another G5 wide receivers coach that want to come over to Statesboro. Let's see how that works out. But I'm just not a fan of the immediate just internal promotion of on the field assistant that, again, I don't even know if he's ever played football higher than high school, or really what experience does he have outside of just being an analyst somewhere. You know what I mean?
I know.
So I'm just not a fan of where this offense is heading going into next season.
I agree. I think it's going to be maybe not a complete 180, but I mean, like, obviously the big storyline, again, because it masked it, was the big storyline was the defense was being so bad. I think with Mutz, again, got the experience, bringing in guys. We'll get into that of like the guys he's bringing in. Not all perfect. I mean, what do you and I know, Cody? But talking about what you were saying of experience and resumes and stuff, there's some guys that are like, oh, I wish that was beefed up a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, him for sure, and most of the guys he's bringing in, it's like, man, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
These guys have been around the block.
They proved it elsewhere.
They proved it elsewhere. They aren't just alumni, right? That played well at Georgia Southern and like we owe them something.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so I honestly believe that the defense is going to take a big turnaround. They're not going to become a top 25 defense overnight, but I think with the transfer portal, with Mutz running the show there, and just being a good evaluator of talent, I think we can make a major leap. I'm going
to hold off my reservations until we see what happens with this transfer portal and who we can
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm not going to say like, oh, I think we can be like, 63rd in the country, but I would be absolutely shocked. I wouldn't put my mortgage and stuff on it, but I'd be absolutely shocked that if we finish anywhere close to where we finished defensively of all the categories we just went through next year, right? But offensively, I wouldn't be shocked if we regress further.
Yes.
And that's really the big problem. And that is going to, again, it's a yin and yang. It's a balancing act. It affects offense, affects defense, vice versa. So, I like that to me, like, yeah, we could reduce the points per game given up. We could reduce the yards per game given up, total defense. We could improve, turnover margin, all that kind of stuff. But if the offense isn't putting up yards, if they're doing 3 and outs, if they're getting field goals instead of touchdowns, it's going to affect the whole show.
Yeah, no, you're right. And again, we've seen times, and not just the last game, but over the course of 2 years, it seems like just about every game we have about 2 to 3 drives that just feel wasted due to, terrible play calling that just does not make sense. Again, and then right after that, he'll have the next drive where it's like every call is perfect. And I don't know if there's tunnel vision. I don't know if he just has like 30 plays that he just has to call in order. And then I don't understand it, but you will see drive 1 or drive 2 or drive 3. One of those will be a perfectly called, executed drive. We go down and score. And then the other 2 are just like, what in the world are we doing here? Or it gets almost like so tunnel vision that he doesn't recognize what's working in the game. Like O.J. Arnold, 5 yards on the first. Let's keep feeding them and let's keep getting positive yardage. But there's so much tunnel vision as to this is the next play that I want to call that I'm ignoring what I'm seeing.
Doesn't fit the script, right?
Correct, yeah.
Like, don't play the hot hand because it doesn't fit the script.
Yeah. The same thing like when we got into the red zone at times. Why not just throw the ball up to Camden Brown instead of calling some of these plays that just you can clearly see just are not working? You know, it will always baffle me as to why we got inside the 5. If you could isolate Camden Brown one-on-one on a corner,
100%.
why not just give him one shot?
He's tied for the most touchdowns in FBS.
Just
give him one-on-one matchups. Like, let him make a play.
Exactly.
The fact that he had 30 yards in that game is a travesty.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's those type of things that have us concerned, not to mention that we're going to have a whole new offensive line. And
yeah, we'll get into that. But before
right.
we'll run through these stats and then we'll get into that because it's a good segue. Balance, right? Going into this year, we talked a lot about balance of like offense, right? It started with Calvin Treese, and then the Davis Brin era, pass happy, air raid, whatever you want to call it. 2 years under French, last 2 years under Applin, I would say have been more balanced. But you look at the actual stats, the actual numbers, and I would say they're not where I'd like them to be. So, rushing 73rd in the country, so lower half, 154.2 yards per game, passing 45th in the country, 47.6 yards per game. So right, it's not like what we saw with Bryn and Van Treese, where it was like top 5 or 300 plus, 400 plus, whatever. But again, that rushing total, the 154, I'd like to see those scales tipped a little bit.
I don't want to see them. I would just want to see the rushing a little bit closer to 200.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by like balance, not tipped, balance.
So yeah, I agree with you. I'm okay with the 250. If it's balanced out with 200 rushing, right?
There you go. That's what I mean. Yeah.
If we're at 150 rushing, then I want to see us for 300 throwing. I don't really care how the balance is.
The ratio, you don't care.
But I would like to at least see us at 450.
Move the positive
450 yards per game and closer to 35 points per game. That's where we need to be at.
Yeah, I guess counter argument there. I see your logic. It's utilize the players you have.
Well, that goes with yes. You're right. Utilize.
If you have a guy like a Calvin Treese, O.J. Arnold, right? If you have a guy that's capable of throwing for 5,000 yards,
yes,
try to throw for 5,000 yards.
Yes.
If you have a guy that's capable of being a 1,500-yard rusher, run him.
Yes.
Like that's the thing. So, like, to me, I would like us to see it balanced where, yeah, both numbers go up, but I'd like to see us get closer to 200 yards next year rushing per game, and not sacrifice passing. I wouldn't like to see that dip.
Well, that's why I said I don't really care about the ratio. And like you said, utilize the talent you have. We think we have running back talent coming back. We know that we
definitely have running quarterback talent coming back.
We do know that we have, we're going to be missing O.J. Arnold, but is the talent on the field, is it best utilized throwing the ball or is it best utilized running the ball? If we don't have running backs that we can really trust to carry 25, 30 times in a game to get 200 yards, then all right, let's throw the ball more to try to get up to closer to 300 or 350 per game. And go from there.
We have that right now. We don't have that.
Well, Josh Dallas comes back. Well, Josh Dallas is coming back.
Someone has to get him the ball. But like,
we do. I think we had the person there. I mean, at least develop. I mean, I think we do.
Do I just get into it?
No. Well, we will. It's getting there. But I think we need to. I want to finish up this thought that you and I have because this is a great thought. That. Yes, I think we want to be total-wise around 450, 35 yards per game, yards per play somewhere around 6.5 to 7, if not more. That is exactly where we want to be at, offensive-wise. Yep. We're not
How
there.
we get there doesn't
How we
really
get there
matter.
does not matter. If the talent on the team is that it's more rushing based, then yeah, then the rushing yards per game needs to increase. Try not to sacrifice your passing attack, but if it needs to because you're rushing the ball so well, then so be it. As long as the total is around what I just said, I don't care how you get there. I don't care if
I
it's
agree.
if it's
I don't
three.
believe in quotas,
Yeah,
right? Like
I don't.
quotas don't matter.
Yeah, I don't care if it's 400 yards passing and 50 yards rushing. I don't care if it's 400 yards rushing and 50 yards passing. As long as it's 450 total, 35 a game, 6.5 to 7 yards per play, that's where I want to be at.
Agreed. Yeah, no, couldn't have said it better. Like, yeah, I mean, it's again, it's leverage the talent you have, put your players in the best position to succeed, and it could be game by game, right? You might have to adjust. We saw that earlier on
Yes.
with like a Brian Ellis, right? Of like go up to you've got Kyle Van Treese and you go up to ODU, and it's like we're just gonna run the ball.
Perfect.
Like-
Another perfect example is the complete opposite of it. When we had JMU at our field, we were down 14-0.
We're just throwing it,
and
we're
we
not
already
running at
knew
all.
how good their rushing defense was. We tried to rush it.
500 and
Yeah. And Brian Ellis was like, I can't say what I want to say, but it was like, we're going to just throw the ball every play. And we did. And somehow or another, Clay Helton can have a notch that says, I beat Kurt Singetti, man to man on a football field. You know what I mean?
He
Like he outcoached him. And for a Saturday night in Statesboro, he beat Coach Singetti, in October, and it was one of the greatest games that I think I've ever saw live at Paulson Stadium. Was that game?
Yeah,
it was a fantastic game to watch.
Agreed.
But yeah, it's get us there. Like you said, one game it may be that we have to rush the ball depending on what the defense is doing. The next game it may be we have to throw the ball to get there.
Injuries, quarterback doesn't have the hot hand, whatever, it happens. Like, but like, yeah, take what the defense gives you. Realize who your hot hand is, feed that hot hand, and like get out of this like prescriptive, like, mindset. I think we're in a very like prescriptive mindset with Applin.
Well, again, it reminds me a lot of sometimes like Gus Malzahn at times.
Yes.
And he was coached by Gus Malzahn, right? Nothing against Gus Malzahn. He led Auburn to a great season. Nearly won. Did he win the?
He won the national championship with Cam Newton.
All right. No, that wasn't Cam Newton. That wasn't him. That was, my gosh, the guy is in my head. I can't think of it.
Wasn't Gus Malzahn?
No, Gus Malzahn was 2013. They lost to Florida State. I can't remember because I can see the guy. Oh, Gene Chizik. That's who it was. And so
national assistant coach, national title.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, Gus, nothing to say that Gus, but one of the criticisms of Gus Malzahn's offense is just seemingly how drives at times just do not make sense. Play calling does not make sense at times. Feels like this is part of that. Again, I didn't keep up with Florida State, so I don't know how well they did at Florida State this year in terms of their offense. And overall, their team did terrible.
Great.
Okay, so again, my hope for Applin and the offensive staff in this offseason, and I hope Clay Helton can really focus on this as well with them, is to try to ensure that this offense is more potent, more attacking down the field.
Yes.
Aggressive. More aggressive. And don't just get in the bubble or the tunnel vision of just calling these short 5, 15, 10-yard passes that shrink the opponent's defenses down to just a 15-yard box on the field. Because I thought when the times that our offense to me seemed to be the best was when we were actually floating the ball downfield and throwing it vertical. Yes.
We had again, like you said earlier, French, is he perfect? Is he 100%? Of course not. But like he's got an arm. He can throw the ball down the field. And so can Weston Bryan, and we had deep threats too.
Yes.
Right? Not just Camden Brown. Obviously, he was the bigger one.
Marcus Sanders.
But Marcus Sanders, man, he had App's. We didn't even call him out against App, but like he has App's number, man.
Yes.
He was their kryptonite. And so, finding those guys, Josh Dallas when he's healthy, we have those, stretch the field options. And we just seemed at times, more often than not, to get very conservative and do the dink and dunk stuff and
which I don't
whatever.
mind,
And
but make sure the dink and dunk stuff is effective, quick. It hits the holes in the zone of the defense. Take the easy pitch and catch. We get that. But what I'm frustrated with are the 10 to 15-yard,
the
out
intermediate
routes
passing
that take
stuff.
3 to 4 seconds to develop, and
That
they're
I would
too
say
much
that
long.
was like that was French's like worst part of his game, in my opinion, where like that was something we saw honestly some with Bryn, but certainly with Calvin Trees. Calvin Trees made his like mark
Getting the ball out of
on
his
those
hand.
on the quick release 10 to 15 yard passes.
Yes.
Those slant routes to Hood, the slant routes to whatever, like that was his bread and butter. I mean,
Mhm.
he was just boom, boom, boom. Like you felt very comfortable. It was very fluid. It was just boom, 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 boom. And like,
outside of the games in which he just would misread defenses and give you 4 or 5 interceptions in a game, but
those were typically the deeper balls. He would take those
Yeah.
shots and he would throw into double coverage, triple coverage, sometimes quadruple coverage, and throw an interception. Those like quick slants, out routes, whatever, again, the 5 to 15 yards, 20 yards, he was very consistent with, and that's how he got to the 5,000 yards or whatever he did. But French didn't really have that. He the little dink and dunk stuff he did, and then I would say the deep ball was good. It was that like middle of the field, 10, 15 yard stuff. He wasn't great.
Yeah. I also felt like I didn't see a lot of back shoulder throws too often in French's game, as well. And I don't know if that was just the nature of the play calling or if they just didn't feel comfortable with him throwing that type of pass. Whereas I felt like with Van Treese, you often saw the back shoulder throw a lot of the times. And I think the same thing with Bryn too, if I'm not mistaken, that was
He did.
Arsenal in that. So yeah,
Yeah, Bryn was just wildly inconsistent. I mean, like he had a lot of throws that were like those are NFL throws, like honestly, and then he had a lot of throws that were like you shouldn't be playing college football. I mean, if we're being honest, like I mean,
that Wisconsin game was just completely baffling. I mean, that was just
it was.
I mean, what 6 total turnovers
but then,
in that game?
Didn't he have the one that was like 500 yards or something?
No, well, Van Treese had a 500-yard game. I don't know if Bryn did.
Yeah.
He probably came close a time or two.
He came close, yeah.
But
it was like 45 total.
No, there's got to be some improvement. There's got to be some self-reflection within that offensive coaching staff of we're not scoring the points we need to. Why is that? How can we change that? How can we make it better?
Again,
what can we learn?
To your
who can we learn
talent.
from? Yeah, and cater to your talent. Yeah. And, who can we learn from that seems to have something figured out in terms of scoring points, and what can we take from them? So I think there's got to be, and I know you don't, we say all this thinking that they have all this time that they can do this in, but they really don't, right? Because you got recruiting the next couple of weeks, you got, the February signing class to end with, and then you turn right around, you have a month to work on spring practice. You have a month or two to work on that, to try to get that all settled out and then install what you want to install for spring practice. So I don't know when they're going to figure out the time to do some self-reflecting, but they've got to figure it out, and they've got to understand that while yes, the defense didn't help their cause and put them in a lot of holes, it wasn't always the defense's fault, and it wasn't always. I mean, Southern Miss is a great example of this. We had 3 interceptions in that game, and we put ourselves in our own hole. Not really the defense's fault too much in that one. And then you saw the turnaround in the second half, and you're like, man, if we'd have just played just a decent quarter of football in the first half, we probably would have beat Southern Miss by a touchdown.
It's that consistency for 4 quarters we talked about. Didn't play a complete game.
Yeah.
I think you can argue even in the Birmingham Bowl, still not a complete game.
No,
close. Maybe the closest we had all season, including Maine. Like.
Yeah,
but still not a complete, did not full throttle, foot on the gas, relentless for 4 quarters in all 3 phases. But, that's the thing is like, I think the defense is going to get there. I'm not saying they're going to be perfect, but I think we're going to see some quote unquote complete games on the defense next year. I honestly do, but
that would be great if we did.
Yeah.
But there's going to be, I'm with you on the defense has nowhere to go but up. How high up they go is to be determined.
Yeah, and a lot of it's personnel.
Is there an
not
issue
just
with our
scheme.
offense still regressing going? That's a big question mark, and that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to watch. And again,
And it's going to
something
counterbalance.
it's gonna come down to who can we grab out of the portal? Who do we have to develop? What talents do we have? Do we have the talent on offense to score points against these defenses we're gonna go up against? Again, we've already talked about in earlier episodes, the 2026 schedule is not a cupcake schedule by no means.
Houston, Clemson, Jacksonville State
Yes.
on the
Not to
road.
Not to mention that you're still gonna have your East Division slate that includes JMU, Coastal,
With
App,
Sunbelt
Marshall.
Billy. Yeah.
So it's not easy. This is not gonna be an easy schedule, and if we don't have talent, and if we don't have a scheme that's gonna produce points, we are going to be behind the ball. And you're gonna look at another season where we're struggling to get to 6-6 again.
100%. I mean, I think the early slate out of conference is still tough. Definitely more regionally based. Don't have the long road trip. Not going to be in California for 2 weeks. Host Houston. Technically, first P4 school that we'll ever host, even though we booked them when they were G5. But like Willie Fritz just beat LSU. Obviously down year. Lane Kiffin coming in. But like, yeah, I mean, really good team.
Yeah.
Host them. Clemson down year, still Clemson, still Dabo. Gonna have a lot of talent. Play them in Death Valley. Jacksonville State, runner up in Conference USA. They're just really close at home last year. Play them at their place. I think New Hampshire is I don't know who's our FCS.
I don't know
team,
who the FCS. It wasn't
yeah.
like North Alabama or something. I
Something
don't know.
like that. But yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
I think we got it to whether their first game of the season is the FCS opponent, and then it goes from there.
Maybe.
But we'll get into that later on.
Yeah, we're not trying to preview it, but we're
just to set up
slate.
that next year the schedule's tough. The schedule's difficult.
It might be. I think it's harder than this year.
Yeah,
honestly, I really do. Like if you take, like you can argue because of the road trip.
I mean, right there out of conference compared to who was it? USC and Fresno.
Yeah, Clemson. Yeah, no, it was what? So Jacksonville State is a wash, right? Because we played them back to back years.
FCS is FCS.
Yep. Group of five. But you've got Clemson and Houston.
For
Fresno State and
USC. Yeah, so
no brainer.
Yeah, so it's a harder schedule going into next year. You can say that we have the harder Sun Belt East opponents at home with App, Coastal and not Coastal, App, JMU, and Marshall at home. So we'll see what happens from there. But no, I think it was just to wrap the bow on that segment that says that if we don't improve our offense, the schedule doesn't give us any breaks to hide it, and that it's going to show very quickly that our offense is in trouble.
Yep. So let's get to transfer portal. We've kind of teased it for a while here, but obviously, again, it's January 3rd when we're recording this. Now January 4th for Cody, soon to be January 4th for me. But so a lot can happen. So just take that with a grain of salt. We're not going to make any predictions or anything like that. We're just going to tell things of where it's at right now. But knowing that transfer portal, like it or hate it, probably here to stay, but at least in its current form, players can enter, they can withdraw. Teams don't have to take them back, but they can. That's all a team by team kind of stance. So these players that we'll talk through that are currently in the portal that were on our roster in 2025, they could be back. They could be back. All of them could be back. None of them could be back. Whatever. 30% could be back. But just putting that out there of like, we don't know how this is all going to shake out. Again, 7,500 plus players across all of college football. That's FBS, FCS, Division 2, 3. All right, Cody. So with the transfer portal, basically we had some technical difficulties there and whatnot. What we're trying to get at is we're early in the portal.
Very early.
So it's 2 weeks, one cycle this time around for the first time in portal history, but anything can happen. So we're not going to get speculative here of like, oh, we're going to land this guy or whatever. For all we know, by the time you're listening to this, we could have landed a top FCS quarterback. We could have landed a P4 guy. We could have, 80% of the guys that entered the portal for us could say, hey, we're coming back, and we accept them back, but we don't know. But we're going to go through kind of not everybody, not line by line, but just like the major guys that have entered the portal at this point, what that could mean for offense, defense, and otherwise moving forward. And then, talk through more briefly, I would say, guys that we've offered. Because again, right now we have no commitments other than what we had in the recruiting class, junior college guys, things like that. But the portal hasn't closed, so there's been no commitments at this point of any guys we reach out to. We know offers.
We have visitation set up.
Visitation set up. By the time you listen to this, a multitude of guys, maybe even a dozen or more guys would have visited Georgia Southern. But yeah, we don't have a crystal ball. So we'll start with who is in the portal on our behalf. And the biggest thing is not an individual in this. It's an entire unit. It's the starting offensive line. So the if it holds true and none of these guys come back, we will be without our entire starting offensive line for 2025 going into 2026. One of them is graduating. The other four, and Johnny Brown III, Robert Wright, Chandler Strong at center, and Caleb Cook are all currently in the transfer portal. So,
and
it was a big
surprise, but not really. The way that they played pretty well. I kept check with some offensive line stats throughout the season, and offensively they've done pretty well, especially with rushing, in terms of getting push. Obviously, you can see that with O.J. Arnold and his success that he had this season. Not surprisingly, I think they've gotten some. They have visits set up at, I think, a lot of them at Power 4 schools. But no, I mean, this is the world that we live in. That if you perform well at a group of 6 school, and you do well and you get those high PFF, ratings or whatever scores, that the folks are going to come calling and asking about you and asking if you want to come play at their school, which is, great for us for the season that they're here. But obviously, they're going to take their chances. And honestly, I don't blame them. I don't think if any of us were in the same shoes, we would do the opposite. We would do exactly what they're doing. So, but what I think what we need to get to is this is going to be a glaring thing that we have to look at and we have to address. That's what I'm saying. We need to address this, one, via the transfer portal ourselves, going and trying to find as many offensive linemen that have starts, which is hard.
Yeah. Experience.
Not
that's
just
the thing,
experience,
right?
but good experience. I don't want some guy who's bad or has, who's been terrible.
On a terrible team, you're on a 1-11 team, and you've been the left tackle for 2 years. Like, okay, cool. You gave up the most sacks in the country. Like, we don't want that guy. And that's the thing. It's not just about its experience, it's talent, and it's cohesiveness. Right, with offensive, you can't patch together an offensive line. You can do it better now than you could 10 years ago, or 5 years ago before the transfer portal. But these guys don't know each other, right? We're not just going to magically bring an entire the best FCS offensive line, and we're going to get a guy here from Elon, we're going to get a guy here from P4, we're going to get a guy here from whatever, and they're going to have to gel really quickly. That's a really tall task. It is,
but that's again the task for the offensive line coach. So he's going to have to get them together. He's going to have to get them figure out how they can communicate and get them to communicate with one another. And, hopefully we have a group of about 11 to 12 guys that we can pick from and figure out which are they going to be the best 5 to put out there. But to me, even more so than the quarterback situation, this is to me the biggest thing that we have to keep an eye on as fans is how does this offensive line come together?
100%, because I think it dictates the quarterback situation. It dictates the entire offense, right? Big guys win championships. Like Clay Helton even says that. But it's true, and it's again, play to your strengths. What does your offensive line, your starting offensive line, do well?
Correct.
How does that complement your quarterback? How does that complement your running back and other skill players? And then let's play to that. Can they run block? Then let's run the football if we have good runners, even with a quarterback. Are they terrible at run blocking and can only pass block? Okay, Cal Van Treese, let's go out there and throw for 500 yards.
But if they're bad at both, then there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do, and it's gonna it's not mask. It's gonna make quality skill players look a lot worse than they are. Right? So that's my fear with a Weston Bryan, with Teo Todd and Terrence Gibbs, with Josh Dallas coming back, with a
River Helms coming back if he.
Thank you, River Helms. Yeah, tight end. Yeah, River Helms coming back, transfer from Western Kentucky. Those guys, we know they're talented. We know Josh Dallas, what he can do. We saw a small sample size of what Weston Bryan can do. We know what River Helms can do, but we don't know what they can do with a super inexperienced green offensive line. So that's what terrifies me. Because and if they don't have a great, super effective, proficient offensive coordinator calling the shots, and again, putting those guys in good positions, recognizing that adjustments need to be made, recognizing that we need to reconcile things and say, hey, pull a Fritz, right? Like what Fritz ran at Tulane, what he ran at Houston, very different than what he ran at 14 and 15, right? Why? It's because of who he had a quarterback and Upshawn Ellison, who had a running back and Breida, who had as the offensive line.
He had a very
they were FCS option-based offensive line, run-based blockers, that could get laterally on the perimeter. That's what he had. So he ran a different offense. And then you see him at Houston, it's night and day. It's unrecognizable. So that's my thing is yes, it can be done with the transfer portal. Even with low funds, we can put together an offensive line, but can you put together the scheme that complements that offensive line?
Well, that comes later with coaching. And that's if you think the offensive line coach and the OC work well together. I don't think they worked bad. Again, was it 2022? No. Was it better than what it was the last 2 years ago? Yeah. When we had the one guy here from that with the BYU, I can't remember his name now. Again, this to me is what I'm going to be focused on more than anything else between now and through spring ball and into the first game against, whatever the FCS opponent is. That's honestly, you can ask me the 5 things I care about going into this season. The first 4 is going to be offensive line.
Yeah, no, I agree. Is there a guy on that list that I rattled off that stands out to you as the biggest loss?
I think Caleb Cook is a grad transfer, right? So I would say probably him. I think it's Chandler Strong.
Yeah, I agree. So I think on paper it's Caleb Cook because he was first team All Sun Belt, but Chandler Strong was our center, 32 starts, 2,000 snaps.
Yeah.
You can't recreate that. You just can't, right? It's 32 starts and 2,000 snaps at Georgia Southern. In this offense, a lot of which under center with JC French, right? We haven't.
And I think he was a multiple. It wasn't just center. I think he could play guard too.
He did. But my point is it's not. It wasn't 2,000 snaps at Elon. It was 2,000 snaps at Georgia Southern. So he knows the rhythm. It was different quarterbacks. It was different positions on the offensive line. So that you just can't replicate.
You can't.
There's no way.
But yeah, I think Richard White, I think they said had the most potential or upside. I know that he was out. Robert White. Yeah. I think he was out a couple of games. He was out last year due to some injury. And to me, tackle is such a hard position to where once when you get a really good tackle, you don't want to let them go. And it's because they're going up against usually the best defensive linemen, right? The defensive ends that usually are your sack producers. And so, but yeah, I think it's Chandler Strong. I really hate to see him go. Out of that whole group. Again, Caleb Cook, I think, has been here for 4 years. Grad transfers, got his degree. I understand if he wants to go the old school transfer route or the Marquez Watson transfer. Grad transfer. I understand completely.
More power to you. That I have no issue
Correct.
with that. It's like, dude, like if they don't offer you a grad program,
Yeah, go
whatever.
go get it.
Yeah,
Go get it. And if
it's
that
fine.
means you go to a Power 4 and make a little bit extra money and maybe position yourself better for
So
an
be it.
NFL jack stop, then go for it. More.
Didn't happen with Marquez Watson Trent, by the way, but like, you know, it's just you never
Yeah.
know. I see we don't have a great track record of that, if I'm being honest. The guys I've gone P4, they have not.
Mark
succeeded.
Stampley did all right this past year, I thought.
Stampley did okay. Watson Trent got hurt. He had like 30 tackles. You have Shai Wertz at Louisville.
He
That
got
was
hurt there
not
too.
a good situation. He got hurt, but in position change.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like,
It's again, can't help injuries, but again, if you can further yourself to improve, you know, yourself in terms of grad degree, more NIL money, possible setting yourself up better to make a run at the NFL, I don't see how you don't take that opportunity.
I agree with that. Yeah. So I think we're on par there with the offensive line. Johnny Brown III right now, again, as we record this, again, the most interest with already scheduled visits. And by the time you're listening to this, he would have taken them to Clemson, Louisville, and West Virginia. Robert Wright has a visit to Louisville. Again, Richard Owens, our offensive line coach that we were so high on.
Yes.
In 2022, in Helton's first year, is the offensive line coach at Louisville. He is stolen, for lack of a better term, poached, whatever you want to call
Recruited.
it. Recruited. Offensive lineman from us, and it looks like he could take 2, maybe even more. You know, guys that he knows, guys that were around when he was here. So, other big story in most cycles, this would be the biggest story, but losing 4 offensive linemen, again 5 total with just a graduate out of eligibility, is quarterback J.C. French. This was a surprise, Cody, because obviously going into possibly year 3 of him running, being QB1 of the offense, I did not realize that he was a grad transfer. I just that
Well, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's
wasn't
technically he did graduate, but I think he still has
graduated.
2 years left.
He has 1 year of
1 year left,
eligibility
okay.
left, and he's transferring as a grad transfer. So I did not realize that he was graduating. That's on me. You know, I should pay more attention to like the academic side. But so when I saw his name and it was following all the offensive linemen, then it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
what is that? Our entire offense is being gutted now. And look, you know, say what you will about French, but you know, he made a huge leap forward from year 1 to year 2, last year to this year. Almost 3,000 yards passing, 29, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Right? We had said, can he keep it under 10? He kept it under 10. QBR 58.1, not great, but you know, got his feet involved, has some rushing yards as well. You know, I thought the gritty, gutty performance in the Birmingham Bowl, you know, and then hearing that news the next day that, hey, he's out, it kind of made sense of like, that was his last hurrah. He kind of gave his all, and now he's on to what he at least believes is greener pastures.
I mean, after, you know, if again, any kid who wants to transfer as they graduate, I completely understand. It makes complete sense.
Fine. Yeah.
I don't know. I was surprised. But at the same time, it wasn't like, no, what are we going to do? Like I feel like we're in a spot now in terms of our QB recruitment that we can survive this, whether or not we need to even go and get somebody out of the portal.
We can weather the storm right?
Of losing it.
2022, if we brought in a flyer, right, in Cal Van Trees, 1,800 yards at Buffalo, experience under his belt, but nothing like crazy, nothing that jumped off the page. Obviously, if it did, he wouldn't have come to us. He would have went somewhere else. Came to us and became the single season leader in passing yards. Still holds that. Had career yards until, it took French 2 years to pass him. And, if something had happened to him, we were
Yeah.
screwed. Like Helton even said it. He was like, we had nobody behind him, just
Exactly.
nobody. You know, and he's usually not candid like that. But like now we've got guys, right? Like they might not be household names. Obviously, Weston Bryan's going to be the popular choice there, even though he's technically was like 4-string package quarterback
Yeah.
this year as a true freshman, burned his red shirt. Turner Helton, Clay Helton's son, technically backup, second-string quarterback this year. Tyler Budge, also in the transfer portal, third-string quarterback this year. So, you know, he's out. He'll probably go FCS. But, yeah, it begs the question. You got Turner Helton coming back seemingly for his senior year. You've got Weston Bryan coming back. Is he ready? Where's the development at? Again, kind of more package deal, but
he ran a more
sophomore.
package deal this year than JC French ran when he was doing his package deal under
100%
David Bryan.
more complete, more comprehensive. I agree with that.
So
Yes.
if that's what you're concerned about, to me, Weston Bryan is ahead of JC French at this same point in his career.
I agree. I think what a lot of people are concerned with is that if you go by pecking order, right, and you look at 2 years ago when you had Davis Brin, French was the number 2 backup. Correct.
I think so. For some of it,
I think so.
I can't.
On the depth chart for
Yeah,
most
I
of the season,
can't remember, but yeah.
And then there was a battle. And we were both, you and I, surprised because it was Dexter Williams, it was David Dallas, and we had French third. We did.
Yeah, I
we
think
had
we
him
had
third.
Yeah, I think
going
we
in.
each had Dallas and Williams 1 and 2. But yeah, we had.
I think I had Williams 1, and I think I had Dallas 2.
So we, but yeah, French won that battle. It obviously was a tough battle. So kudos to that.
It was lack of turnovers and all that led to it. And you know.
It's crazy because here's the thing. If you watch the bowl game, he obviously will leave with a bunch of passing statistics and passing records here at Georgia Southern.
Yeah. All-time passing leader.
But it was a lot of individual stats, but we never got anywhere close to conference. I mean, last year we kind of got close to conference championship, but we didn't get close. We didn't win any championships. We were 3 games above 500.
Let's be honest, his biggest claim to fame was beating JMU last year at home and winning the bowl game.
Yeah. 1-1.
I mean, if we really want to break it down, like that was his 2 biggest accomplishments.
Like in terms of comparing his legacy to other Georgia Southern quarterbacks, I mean, I don't know.
He was adequate. I mean, like, I think he did the job, and like it's not to like hate on the kid, but like I mean I think he did what he could do.
Yeah,
and
he was a good quarterback. Is he one of the greats here? No, but he was good. And
he won't be in the conversation. I think at some point we can have that debate. It's happened on X and stuff of like who is that top 5, who is that top 10. Is JC French in the top 10? Probably not.
I think that let's circle back to where we were at in terms of going into next year in the depth chart there. I think it has to be at this point Weston Bryan, unless Helton can go above and beyond in spring and in fall camp to show that he should be the starter. At least right now with who we have, I think it's got to be Weston Bryan.
I agree, but on paper, you're looking at a 4-string guy that was like a package.
Correct, but I think that's because you
jumping 3 spots into the starting position.
Because because 1, Weston Bryan didn't come in until the fall camp. He wasn't a mid-year enrollee. 2, you probably didn't want to just dump the entire playbook on him. So you let him learn as the season progresses. And you saw more plays get added to his repertoire as the season went along. And so I think you would obviously see that continuation going forward. I think the reason why you had Helton as your second string quarterback is obviously because he was in a familiar system at Western Kentucky. He has more of a poise, probably. You wouldn't lose too much of the playbook, if any at all, with him being in there. French, for whatever reason, went down. And you know that...
It's the seamless. It's the seamless
And let's
effect.
be honest with you. He's the son of a coach. And it has to have some sort of football IQ to him. Otherwise he would.
Osmosis and
Yeah.
stuff,
So
yeah.
again, that's why the situation set up like it was. And same thing with Tyler Budge being third, because he's been here for a year. He had more of I think he was a mid-year enrollee, so he had almost 2 seasons of being in the playbook. If something happened to where if you needed somebody to run the offense for 4 quarters, it would be him over Bryan, because he probably just didn't have the playbook knowledge and that. So now that it's getting close to a year that he's been here, he'll go through his first spring practice with the first, with that installation of offense and everything. I think we'll see how the battle plays out. Is it a given? No, it's not a given. But I will say that this is unfair to Helton. It just honestly is, because he's the son of the coach.
To Turner Helton, yeah.
To Turner Helton, because he's the son of the coach. It can't be a close battle. He has to win it head and shoulders above.
I
Bryan,
agree.
and that's
I agree with that.
wrong.
I agree with that. It's not fair to him, right? Because like a lot of people will turn it and only
and say it's nepotism.
On Clay
Correct.
Helton and say it's nepotism. And it's like, look, it's not his fault. The kid wants an opportunity. He had good stats in high school. He had the stars. He had all the stuff. Like he has like a similar resume as a lot of the other guys that Georgia Southern gets. But he's going to have that dark cloud over him, right? That like, oh, he's the son of a coach, nepotism.
Which also
it's like,
makes it more of a pressure-filled situation. He has the pressure to.
It's 100, and that's what I've argued with people online about. I'm like, I feel like Clay Helton understands that. Like he understands the optics of that. Of like, look, if you truly believe that, take relationships aside, take being being bloodline aside, that Turner Helton is the key of the best option we have to win football games, to win more football games than not. Play him, But if you have any ounce of hesitation there, you can't do it, because it's going to be under heightened scrutiny.
And even amongst the team too. I mean, if it's a close race, again, it's not fair.
You lose like 20 percentage points, right? Like it's not a neck and neck thing. If it's like, oh, they're both 7, like they're average, they're not great, like they've got some deficits, but like they're 7. Well, really, with Turner Helton, with the nepotism thing, not fair. He's a 5. Like that's what it is. And it's like, well, the 7 wins. The 7's got to win.
Exactly.
That's a grade, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So
again, it's but we'll see what happens with the portal. Obviously, there's rumors, and there's things lined up and visitation lined up with folks. So we'll see how it all plans out. But again,
are you worried about like losing Weston with it? Because that's the thing, right? It's like you got to set it's just it's such an interesting state of college football with the transfer portal, because there is no limits. You have guys like TJ Finley that are at their 7th school or whatever, So like Weston, he showed obviously a ton of promise this year. Most people would say, let's say hypothetically, he gets the starting job, he gets the reins, and he crushes it. And he puts up good numbers, even regardless of record. Like obviously not worse than what we were this year, but we're somewhere between like 6 wins and 9 wins, and he puts up crazy numbers. He's gone, right? Like I mean, like you have to imagine he's probably gone.
Here's something else we haven't talked about: is the kid that came in with Weston out of Alabama, who was a mid-year enrollee, who has a big arm for quarterback. He didn't see any.
Charlie Johnson.
Who's to say he's not also in this? Maybe he's quietly behind the scenes, doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, and we thought Tyler Budge was that, and he very well could have been before Charlie Johnson and a Weston Bryan came along.
They probably sat down with him and said, "Hey, look, Tyler, we love you. We think you're great. We think you have immense talent, but here's how the pecking order is going to be, and we don't see how you're going to. And you can stay with us.
It's in your." It's in your
best.
You can stay with us.
If you want to look for playing
you'll be
time,
you'll be a great 3rd string, maybe 2nd string your
Yeah.
senior year. But if you want playing time, transfer to FCS.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like with unlimited transfers, he could go. Elon's quarterback is being courted by Power 4 teams. He could go to Elon and maybe start, and he could put up 3,500 yards
Yeah.
at Elon. Possibly.
or Mercer, because they just lost their quarterback.
or Mercer or West Georgia or wherever, right? And like he go there and go off. And not only is he being courted by like the Georgia Southerns of the world, he's being courted by people.
Yeah.
Just like
Well,
that.
that's
And
a whole
get
other
NIL
conversation.
money.
If somebody leaves here, goes
Yeah.
FCS for a year. Let's put it this way. Let's say Tyler Budge goes FCS for a year, has an outstanding season, blows it up, leads whoever team he leads to I don't know, quarterfinal, semifinal game.
Yeah, sure.
Do we all of a sudden now question the talent evaluation at quarterback? Because I've seen what Tyler Budge has done, the limited practice that I've been in.
Yeah, I think in that case, in that hypothetical, I think you would have to. We haven't seen it,
Yeah.
right? I will say Davis Brin was a swing and a miss.
Yes.
We obviously paid him a substantial NIL money in our standards, and he did not live up to expectations. I would say Calvin Trees, yes, interceptions were a problem, but with the transition, with everything that was going on, I think that was a huge success.
Yeah.
Bringing him in, and I don't think anyone would have expected, 3-year start at Buffalo that didn't throw for more than 1,800 yards to be our all-time passing leader, and so far, and then JC French, like last year, season, this year, again, huge progress. Under 10 interceptions, almost 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. I mean, it's
I have
good
a
season.
problem with a huge progression because a lot of those interceptions came in that bowl game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, because he had, what, 13, 12?
Yes, 12, I think.
Okay. I lost your video.
Yeah.
There, you're back.
It's
But,
about to
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 interceptions in the bowl game. And yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So basically he had a better bowl game.
Yeah.
This year. If you're looking at he did have more yards though. I think he had 18 touchdowns last year, if I remember correctly. He had 20 this year, so that's fair.
Yeah, that is But there was, I would say that there's some intangibles that you can't really measure that he did improve upon. Leadership was one. Command of the offense was one. His poise, I felt at times in the pocket, was better. And I felt like he was able to go from progression. The game slowed down to him, it seemed like. Did the numbers show that? No. Would I say if he stayed here for a third year, could he really improve some numbers? I think so. I think to me the best thing for him, and this is just not being a Georgia Southern fan, I honestly think if he was to come back for a third year under the offense, I think you would see, as long as we can get an offensive line in front of him, you would see.
That's the thing. It's like how much did the offensive line decision play, right? I mean, like, I don't know how close he is with them. I would assume so, but like, right, you got like a Chandler Strong, like that's your center, like, like they start getting in your ear and be like, hey, I'm out. Hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm graduating.
I think it's like
whatever.
anything else. I think if you have a starting job, you don't want to let it go unless you're getting told somewhere else that there's something better for you out there.
I just feel like if you've got like an offensive line for a quarterback, I mean, it's literally your front line, right?
It's
As
your
like a
security blanket.
And it's your security blanket. So like if all of a sudden you got like your top executives and you're the CEO and they're like, we're all out, we're going to this other company. You're like, I don't know, you're second guessing like what I'm doing, because it's like I could probably do it. I have confidence in myself, but also I don't have that fallback.
Exactly.
I don't have my right-hand man, right-hand woman, there. So like I would be surprised if like he didn't know that those guys were going to enter and that didn't play a factor in his
I'm sure it did.
decision.
I'm sure it did. And just like I'm sure none of those guys came to that decision after the bowl game either. And I will give Clay Helton a lot of credit with that in terms of keeping everybody together through the end of the season. And then that's
no easy feat. Again, you saw what App State did.
Tell you what,
right, with 68 guys come in.
Pretty much majority of the teams have gone
100%. Even some of the playoff teams. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah. I mean that was their claim to fame, and like we are hard on Helton and staff sometimes of like harping on these like accolades and stuff of like 4 straight bowl games and things like that. But like one of the things going into the bowl game that was really stressed was we're bringing everybody, no opt-outs at all, and that is an accolade. That absolutely is something to hang your hat on.
And so I give him credit to that, to the team, to the players. I mean, that's everybody involved. And I don't think you get that unless you have a good relationship with your team, which again
100%.
appears from everything that I can see outside looking in that he does, which is
Yeah.
why
He
I've
yeah.
been very hesitant to jump on board the fire the Clay Helton train. Now, coordinators obviously to me are on a shorter leash, but there are certain intangibles that you look at in a head coach and you think that's going to be very hard to replace. And his relationship with the players and how they seem to want to go to
Yes.
war with him and for him is something that's very hard that you don't see really a lot of other places. Now, if he can't get rid of
Agreed.
coordinators,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother story.
Well, because
But
ultimately it will come back to
yes.
bite him, right? Because yes, I get it. Okay, good grades amongst the players coach, all that. All right, I get it. They'll go to war, fine. But if you hire inexperienced coordinators,
With inexperienced staff,
coaching
yes.
staff, it's going to come back to bite you. And also reluctancy and hesitancy or even like stubbornness to make changes. We saw
Yeah.
that, right? Davis Brin. Oh, we're paying him NIL money.
I honestly
He's throwing 17 interceptions in the game.
see,
It's like, no, we're going to keep playing him.
and I think that was very frustrating. It seems to me that Helton will give guys their opportunity even if the fan base is clamoring for change.
He's loyal
He
to a
is.
fault. Is what? Loyal
He
to a
gave
fault.
Bailey 3 seasons, and you see how that goes. And I think you're going to see the same thing with Apple. He's going to get 3 seasons, and unless there's some big
Yep.
turnaround,
100%.
then if we have the same sort of productivity and offense this year as we had next year as we have this year, I don't know if Applin's will probably change offensive coordinators.
Well, I don't know if Helton's still here. Like that's the thing, right? So like you've got Mutz. We think the defense is going to get better.
If
We
the
don't
defense gets
know
better,
what
the
that's
offense
gonna
is the
look
same,
like.
and we're still like a 6-6 team because of
Probably maybe
Yeah.
7. I think we're like maybe 7
then
to 5.
you have to change
You
it
know,
up
that's
on the
not good
offense.
enough.
Yeah.
But at that point, they're going to be calling for Helton's head. I mean, they already are. But like,
Here's what they'll say.
like-
They'll say he made a great defensive coordinator hire. Let's go give him an offensive.
I know, but people just
I know,
yeah.
but they'll say let's go get him an offensive coordinator.
I know what they'll say, but like you're going to have like more and more people are going to get on that other bandwagon of
I
like
get
this
it.
is
I
just
get
not. We've had 5 years now of mediocrity.
Look, we the fan base found the defensive coordinator. We just need to start going ahead and finding the offensive coordinator and go ahead and running it up the food chain.
But I think at some point the buck stops with him.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, okay, cool. You realized, maybe you stuck with Bailey a year too long, but you at least made the change. You pulled the trigger. You brought in Mutz, a guy that was a lot more experienced. Again, hypothetical. He switches things around, great. But you didn't do that with Applin. You should have done that at the same time. Like, at what point does the buck stop with him and like he's held ultimately accountable for like you're the head man in charge, you're the CEO of this program. It's not just defense or offense or special teams. It's defense, offense, and special
No,
teams.
I agree, and we'll obviously have the answer this time next year as we're doing this. But it will, yeah, you're absolutely right. If the offense flutters, then there'll be a lot of angry fans, just like there were this year. Now, again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves with this conversation, I think, because
we're assuming a lot. We're assuming a lot. But again, like things are fluid, things change because the thing is like, yes, obviously hypotheticals, but let's say Mutz switches us overnight and we become a top 60, top 50 defense. Is he even here next year? Even if Helton is retained, like at that point, like, yeah, P4s could be calling for him. Like, hey, look at this guy.
Exactly.
But so, that's the thing is like, you have to like make these changes. You can't be stuck in the mud and be loyal to a fault because like all these, like it's all these decisions add up. Like they are all collective.
But
yeah.
Well, I think offensive line obviously is going to be, to me, the huge focus for me. Quarterback, obviously, there's going to be a lot of storylines there. I want to wait to see what happens with the portal and who they bring in. I think that will show us kind of what their direction of going in.
Yeah, I want to talk about
Okay.
defense because we haven't really talked about that for the portal. So I think arguably the biggest one in is MJ
Yes,
Stroud.
I think so.
He's already got scheduled visits with Colorado, Michigan State, and West
I
Virginia.
think there's a
He
safety or
had,
defensive back too. Was it Aiden Jackson that's in
yeah,
the portal?
Aiden Jackson with 3 key interceptions, but it seemed
Yeah,
like
it did.
more,
It did.
right? Like key interceptions is the key word there. And you know, App State, the first game against App State, key interception there. I believe key one against Coastal Carolina. And I forget. I don't think he had one against App State the
No.
second time. But yeah, he's got 74 tackles on the season, 3 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. But again, key ones. MJ Stroud was 15.5 tackles for loss. Again, scheduled visits: Colorado, Michigan State, West Virginia. Davion Rhodes, I've been high on him. He was all Sun Belt honorable mention. He had 37 tackles, 7 sacks, 1 pass deflection, and a fumble recovery this year. Everybody else was complimentary or like bench players on defense. So, you know, quarterbacks, I didn't really see a lot of playing time, defensive tackles, that sort of thing. We're going to need to overhaul on the front 7, Cody, obviously, with MJ Stroud leaving.
Do we
You
know
see that already?
what defensive scheme we're running under Mutz?
I don't think we know.
I
for
haven't heard,
sure.
and I haven't really looked at Stephen F. Austin to see what exactly, if it was a 3-man or 4-man or
either.
what they got. They have an outside
I haven't
linebackers
either.
coach, which makes me think it's a 3-4, but I'm not. I haven't heard or seen or is it could be a multiple?
Think they're 3. I think they're multiple, but I think they're base 3-4. But I have not. I don't want to like
Yeah.
put a stamp on that. But we did take. Yeah, we took. So Moots has taken, which is common, guys that he knows. So
Well, not just guys that he knows, but
outside
guys that has
linebackers-
coached under him and have
coached
done
under
well.
him. So, right. So inside linebackers coach, I believe, was a grad assistant under him when he was at Georgia Southern.
The
Oh, so-
outside.
Inside
the
linebackers
inside.
coach? Inside. Was it outside?
No, I'm not sure.
I should
Yeah,
look
I
this
know.
up. All right. Inside or outside? One of them coached under him at Georgia
Okay.
Southern. The other one coached under him at Stephen
Okay.
F. Austin.
Gotcha.
So yeah. And then defensive line coach, I know for a fact, coached
Yeah.
under him at Stephen F. Austin. And he's been at several other stops, like Incarnate Word and places like that had really talented defensive lines. So that is promising to me. So I think, but Moots is a linebacker kind of coach by trade. So I think,
Yeah, which is I think it's the inside linebackers coach, which is the one that was like an analyst from LSU, I believe. Which is why I didn't. That one I'm okay with. I think the defensive line coach, outside linebackers coach, I think is the one that came from Stephen F. Austin that was coaching underneath him. Last season.
yeah. So it's Zach
Okay.
White or Witt.
All right.
Yeah, he's the
But see,
LSU
yeah,
guy, and he's the
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know with the way that the coaching world is today and the rules now. You can have as many coaches as you want to, on the field coaches as you want to, as long as you pay them whatever. There's no limit. How it used to be 11. And so if we can essentially staff our defensive coaching staff with coaches and let Moots just honestly just focus on being the defensive coordinator, then that's fine. Especially if his area of expertise is linebacker, then I'm sure that he'll have a little bit more control over that if he needs to feel like he needs to kind of mentor or coach somebody up or assist in their duties. But at least it takes a little bit of the burden off of him to directly coach a position group. So Safford is coaching what the defensive backs
and assistant head coach.
Are we gonna? I guess my only other question is there going to be like a safeties or I guess a safeties coach that we probably still need to fill?
I don't think that's been announced yet. I believe we have a safeties coach on staff.
Yeah, it was Brandon Bailey. Now he's gone.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was a safeties coach. That's why he's coaching safeties at JMU.
Yeah, true. Yeah, not listed right now. So
Okay.
we could bring in.
So it seems like we still need a safeties coach to come in. So we'll see how that unfolds.
Darius Eubanks is available.
But he was a linebacker coach, right?
He was. Yeah, he was.
So, but no, as far as the defensive staff goes and what we've seen, I'm pleased with it so far. I have no issues with anybody that he's brought in. I have no issues with the two coaches that he's brought in so far from Stephen F. Austin. To me, it seems like this is going to be a very, while young, hungry, wanting to prove themselves. They have proven themselves at other stops in terms of the success that they've had. Again, we'll think it's going to come, and we've heard where they've hit the recruiting show hard already. They know they need help up front.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're 48 hours into the transfer portal, and I would say like 80% of the guys that we're seeing get offered are defensive guys, right? And I would say of that, 70-80% are defensive line or linebackers, right? Linebacker out of Presbyterian, defensive lineman out of Wofford or Samford. Like we're hitting guys hard. You're good. You're good on my end. I can still hear you.
All right.
1 second.
Still, you still.
It's gonna be an interesting episode. We can try to wrap it up quick. I mean,
No, we'll just roll. I mean, let's just go with it. Let's just see what we do.
all right. I see what you're saying of 90% upload. Hopefully, I mean that's the beauty of Riverside is that it accounts for like laggy internet if that's the case. So ideally, it's capturing all of this, and like when you cut out, it's gonna be So we'll see. It's not gonna be great in post edit, but
I'm sorry.
if we did it old school way, like honestly, this would be like a lost episode.
Yeah.
If we did it on Audacity, I'd be like, we're done. We can't do it. It would just be way too much. Like yeah. I'd have to get like so precise to match things up and stuff. This at least like I can do it, and it would be like a Zoom recording.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like it doesn't. It's like, oh, Cody's gone, but like I'm still here, and then Cody's back.
Yeah.
So anyway, but all right, so 2018, 2019, we're gonna pick it up. So yeah, Cody, so that was transfer portal. Let me see. Again, I didn't want to get into too much of the guys that we've offered so far.
Yeah.
Well, we could touch on this, right? So transfer portal additions. First, let me give a shout out to Gata Central. This is DJ Cadden. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Maybe Caden. On X. I believe he worked for the Georgian or student media possibly at Georgia Southern, recent graduate, has created Gata Central. They have a podcast, I believe, as well, but they've got kind of like written content. He has an entire post. Again, just search for Gata Central on X and you'll find it there. And he's got a running list of like everyone on our end that's in the transfer portal, everyone that we've offered, as well as additions. So like already confirmed additions. Now these are going to be guys that are like JUCO guys, Division II, Division III guys. There was like 3,500 quote unquote lower division players in the portal before it opened to Division I on January 2nd, which is crazy, Cody, like 3,500 people. And those are like mostly, I think all non-scholarship people, like Division II and lower is all non-scholarship. FCS is like limited scholarships or partial scholarships. So, but anyway, we signed in the recruiting class, the full recruiting class, 2 guys from the transfer portal. King Phillips from Texas A&M Kingsville, a junior college, I believe. 10 games. He 68 receptions. He was a wide receiver, 68 receptions, 880 yards, 5 touchdowns, named receiver of the year in the Lone Star Conference. He has 2 years of eligibility remaining. We're definitely going to need that depth at the wide receiver position. We lost, actually, I didn't mention that, but I think it's worth mentioning. We lost Dylan Gary at wide receiver. This is a guy that I was high on.
We both were.
Came from West Georgia, 800 yards. Over 800 yards at West Georgia, almost 10 touchdowns, I believe. Only 6 receptions for 59 yards and 1 touchdown in 1 lone year at Georgia Southern. So I think just an example, kind of the alternate, if you will, to like a Camden Brown of like, hey, you can get that guy that comes from like a JUCO or comes from FCS or Division II and balls out. You can get that guy that comes from P4 that rode the bench for 2 or 3 years that balls out, or they can,
Yeah, be
be
nothing.
bust, So, so yeah, so I guess word of warning there, like all this is like grain of salt because again, King Phillips, yeah, 880 yards, looks great, 5 touchdowns, awesome. Tyrese Woodgett, Georgia Military College, also JUCO, correct. 11 games in Milledgeville, 17 carried the ball 117 times, 1,079 yards, 11 touchdowns, 13 receptions for 290 yards. Like, 14, almost 1,400 yards of total offense. Again, awesome. Looks awesome. But like, is he going to be able to do that at the Division I level? We'll see. But yeah, he was a second team junior college All-American, 3 years of eligibility remaining for this one. So
Again,
yeah,
it looks like you have 2 guys that can come in that can immediately start pushing for spots within the rotation, if not at least for the running back, could possibly be pushing to be a starter next year, depending on how things play out. No, I look, the JUCO route, it's a tough route. If you watched Hard Knocks on Netflix, you know how tough that route can be. You also know how talented those players are and what they can do at the next level or at this level. So I will be very, especially the running back. The running back is very interesting to me. It complements the other running back that we signed from the high school level out of Dublin, right down the road, about an hour up 16. And so we'll see how that works. I was telling Matt before we started this podcast that those 2 running backs, I believe, for the last either 10, 15, or 20 years, I can't remember exactly the time frame, but those 2 running backs are both Georgia high school running backs, and they're the only running backs to have a 600-yard game in their high school career in the last, I believe it's 10 years in the state of Georgia, which is pretty impressive. So
I mean, yeah, just think
yeah,
about that, right? Repeat that 600-yard
yeah,
game.
that's insane.
That's, I mean, I get it. I like, whatever. 1A, like, you're playing against a bunch of nobody. Like, that's still a
Yeah.
lot of yards.
And this the Dublin, the kid from Lawrence County played at West Lawrence. West Lawrence is either 3 or 4A school. It's not a small school where he was playing at.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think we have some very talented running backs coming in with this class that I would like to see how they develop and how they are able to get integrated into the offense.
I agree. And we haven't really talked about that too much. I know we're like way over and stuff, but it's going to be interesting to me. I guess my main concern again with Applin, not to like beat up on him, but again, it's like the willingness to adapt to what you
Yes.
have. And it's like we have talent at the running back position, both existing and coming in. Sure, we could hit the portal and maybe get another guy or 2. Wide receiver, I think we're going to need to bring in a couple guys there. Obviously, Josh Dallas is your catalyst. He's your mainstay there. Same with defense on the defensive backfield. Chance Gamble, mainstay there. Need to build around him. But, to me, like if Weston Bryan is the guy, even if Turner Helton's the guy, but like if Weston Bryan's the guy for sure, it's like, how can we adapt the offense to cater to their strengths? Right? Like he's
Well, not
more of
just
a running
that.
quarterback.
Can they coach that? Like if you have Weston Bryan, you think some sort of a QB run system type offense would maybe best suit at least his skill set that they have. Could you
100%.
completely revamp the offense around that? I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
he can.
I don't know if he can. And that's why
Well,
I'm concerned. There are definitely guys out there that
Yeah.
can, that are willing to and capable of. But it's like, that's the thing is like, does he know what those plays are? Is he
that gets
comfortable doing it?
into again, they need to sit down. They need to regroup. The offensive staff, coach out, and all of them got to get together and really self scout and self evaluate.
I have to imagine they've had
No, like
at least
legit.
started
Like,
this
yeah, I'm
stuff.
sure they have. But it's gonna
Yeah,
be
because they know, they have to know what they have in
yeah,
Weston Bryan, and they have to know, like, look, Weston Bryan isn't Turner Helton. He isn't J.C. French. He isn't Davis Brin. He isn't Calvin Trees. He's not. He is a special talent. You can say he's a wide receiver by trade. You can say he's a H-back or, a Tim Tebow-esque or whatever. Guess what? Tim Tebow won 2 Heismans, right?
no,
Like,
one Heisman.
one Heisman?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought he almost
he
won 2
almost.
Heismans. Yeah. So youngest ever win the Heisman, right? Sophomore, at least at the time. But like, he was not your quintessential quarterback. And Urban Meyer said, I'm going to
Yeah,
figure it out. And I'm going to write. And like, he did different stuff at Ohio State. He did different stuff at Florida with other quarterbacks. Like, so that's the thing, is, do they have the capability of recognizing that this guy is special, but in his own unique way, and playing to his
yeah,
strengths? Like, I get it. We were the only quarterback Division I offer that he had. Other schools were looking at him, a tight end, whatever. We've seen that before. We saw it with McKinnon. We saw it with, list goes on. Jason Foster, right? Be a defensive back. You're not going to play quarterback. I want to play quarterback. Okay, go run in this option
yep,
offense. Now it's elevated, but like, bring him in and create a system around him, maybe if it's for a year or two, to win the most games possible based on leveraging
yeah.
his skill set.
No, I agree with that.
Like,
And we'll, like I said, that'll be again the big question mark, and then the honestly the biggest thing I think going into spring ball, outside of can we bring in offensive line talent. I think the thing I'm watching most out of this transfer portal is just how many offensive linemen can we bring in.
that's the thing. And so far, again, 48 hours in, we've seen very little.
Well, you see very little movement
And
across the
at least
board so far.
you have, but I mean, even like guys saying that they've been offered, which is a little concerning. I'm not saying that we haven't been offering
Yeah,
guys. I can't imagine that, like, they're like, oh, we lost 5 offensive linemen, we're just gonna like focus on defense and like not, but like I've seen a ton of defense so far, like defensive linemen, linebackers out the wazoo. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, they have offers from like a bunch of Sunbelt schools. Some are, several lower to mid-tier Power 4 schools, so a lot of competition there. Obviously, we're not going to land all those guys. But, like, the guys that I've seen, the tape I've looked at, the defensive linemen, the linebackers, like, if we can land 2, 3 of those guys, like, I think they can be starters immediately, So I believe in what Mutz is doing there, but offensively, I mean, I've seen one quarterback, I've seen one, like maybe 1 or 2 wide receivers, very little offensive linemen. And I know they're hot commodity, right? Because like you said, like especially tackle and center.
Well, as the old saying goes,
yeah.
you ain't gonna catch any fish with your pole out the water. You gotta at least throw your line in there to see what you can get. And so I think there seems to be something in terms of I think that's a need. When you have 4 starters leave, that's a need you got to fill. So we better get into it.
Yeah, that's an immediate need. And again, like, you can find those guys, like, maybe they are
Yeah.
Division II, maybe they're FCS, maybe they're JUCO, and like, yeah, maybe some of those guys, like I think you brought up the Trinidad Chambliss, quarterback from Ole Miss. I was at Fair State,
Yeah,
D2 Fair State last
he
year.
didn't start the year as the starter.
He didn't start the year. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, yeah, I get it. He's got, he's on AT&T commercials and stuff now. But like, find that guy. Maybe you only have him for a year, but like, find that guy that was just like the ultimate diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
A D2 player that's like, look, but I thought I had an opportunity at Wake Forest. I thought I had an opportunity here, but like it fell through. They went with option whatever B, and now I'm looking for a scholarship. I'm not looking for NIL money. I'm not looking for 50, 100, 200,000 a year. I'm looking for a scholarship, which I don't have now. Come with us. Start immediately. I'm looking for playing time and scholarship. We can give that to you. Boom. You prove yourself. Okay, maybe we have you for a year. I don't like it, but that's the reality.
It is what
of
it
college
is.
school. Yeah. So it's like we're gonna have to do a patchwork job, get the best possible guys that we can, throw them together. I'll take experience over previous stars and accolades and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff in high school. Give me the best possible FCS or lower offensive lineman you can get. Commit to a style. That's what I'm talking about. Of like, this year we did okay run blocking. We obviously passed the ball better. Didn't give up a ton of sacks. Certainly not like 22. But like, not saying go and get like a triple option offensive line, of course, but like go like if Weston Bryan's the guy and that's the guy, like bring an offensive line in that you think can run
Yeah.
block well and can block well for QB
Yep.
runs, create space. And so it's that. It's just catering again, yeah, catering to your strengths.
Agreed.
Yep. Cool. We're long. We're 2:30. We'll cut some of it out. But I don't know, Cody. I feel like we're missing maybe some stuff, but we didn't talk about JMU and Tulane in the bowls. Won't necessarily have to get into that. We talked about it all.
Yeah.
I mean
they
they
lost.
went now.
JMU
lost.
played a great second half.
I thought JMU held
Yeah.
their own. I thought they held their own. The powers to be won't look at it that way, and that's what we were saying in the last episode. It was almost a lose-lose because no matter what happened, there'd be some excuse of like. So yeah, they held their own. Play better than Texas Tech did against Oregon, but it is what it is. Tulane lost Ole Miss. Yeah, I mean there were some games where Hawaii beat Cal, Navy beat Cincinnati, East Carolina beat Pitt, Toledo beat Louisville, or lost played Louisville close. New Mexico lost to Minnesota in overtime.
Yeah. There were a lot of
Yeah,
great bowl games, a lot of teams that look great, a lot of teams that I wish would have played better teams, right? But that's the nature of bowl season. I would love to have seen Western Michigan play a P4 school. I thought Western Michigan dominated Kennesaw State and looked
completely destroyed.
really good. What was the other one that I thought was? Shoot, it's blanking on me now. But
I mean, East Carolina over Pitt, I thought was
Yeah.
crazy because East Carolina is one of those teams that's always been kind of middling.
Well, East Carolina also
middle
lost like
of
their
the pack.
offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. They lost some guys to the portal, and
Yeah.
they came out and they still beat.
I mean, Pitt beat Georgia
Yeah.
Tech. They kept them out of the playoff.
The Pitt Georgia Tech, the Pitt Georgia Tech, the Georgia BYU game was fun to watch.
It was.
Obviously the Pop-Tart Bowl is the Pop-Tart Bowl.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl. Look, like I don't think there's too many. I've watched as many bowl games as I possibly could. I love them all. I do think that they should change requirements. I don't think 5 and 7 teams should make a bowl game.
But they wouldn't have
I get it,
if teams didn't opt out.
I get it, but you're just
I know.
that's not
I
going to
know.
change. It's not going to change. So, like, I think they should up the requirements for bowl game. I don't think 6 and 6 should cut it. I just don't. I think it should be 7-5 winning record.
Yeah.
minimum. Otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, you don't play the bowl game. But what else? Man, what I guess closing out. What's the parting words? Is there hope going into this next season?
Yeah, there's
For
always
Georgia
hope.
Southern?
There's always hope going into the next season. Feel like we've made the right call for the defensive hire. It was a needed change. It seems to be this is where we need to go. That gives me hope. The schedule is what the schedule is. It will hopefully be one of the best home schedules that we'll ever have at Georgia Southern. You have Houston coming in. You have JMU at Marshall right there. That's 4 of your home games.
If you can't get sellouts, for
Yeah,
that,
you have your FCS opponent, and then you'll have some sort of West opponent out of the Sunbelt West that will host, but we don't know who that is yet. So there's hope. There's also, I think, because we were so hyped up for this year, now I'm timid to get that hyped up again going.
I think that's gonna be most fans, and I think that's the way it should be.
And so even though I may think that the offense could improve because either we've improved on defense or we've let's say we make some great recruiting out of the transfer portal, or maybe we get surprised and we've developed some offensive linemen that we don't know about that really perform. We'll see. But obviously, I'm gonna hold back or temper the expectations going into 2026. I think there is an opportunity there for us to win quite a few ball games. There's a lot of change in the Sun Belt. There's a lot of teams that I feel like are down to a certain degree.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
JMU
right?
with their head coaching change. Yes, it is Billy Napier.
Yeah, it's Billy
But
Napier, but
they
lost. They lost their entire
Yes.
offense. We talked about losing our line and graduate. Like they literally every offensive player that played in the college football playoff game.
Yeah, and so we'll see what happens with JMU. I'm not gonna expect them to drop off the face of the earth. They seem to have a formula. They seem to have some sort of.
They've strayed from that formula, which will be
will be interesting.
This is. Yeah,
but
so like they've done the Bob Chesney, they've done the Kurt Signani. This is the first. This is their Clay Helton hire. I'm not saying obviously like a 1-to-1, but it's their like this is their biggest name hire they've ever.
Yeah,
gotten.
and I will say this until I see it, I will expect them to always be an 8 or 9 win team. They've proven that. They've I have to give that to them. So we'll see how
ODU's interesting because without Colton Joseph, I just don't know.
ODU has a defense, and they have continuity. Yes, they will not have the quarterback. Does not mean they don't have a quarterback waiting. Colton Joseph is a great talent. Does not mean they don't have somebody there that is just slightly below his level, but can still be effective and put up 35 points a game. I mean, honestly, who did ODU lose to this year? They lost to Indiana. Playoff team, maybe national championship team, JMU playoff team, and
by a lot worse than Indiana.
Yeah. And then they somehow, for whatever reason, lost to Marshall. That's it. So I expect ODU, unless there's some sort of coordinator change that I don't know about or unaware of.
Why? And I don't know. I would think their defensive players would jump ship. I know they have more money than we do, but
so I think their continuity wise is pretty well. So I would think right now going into it, you got to say it's probably ODU and JMU.
Yeah, I think Coastal's a sleeper with Missouri State's coach. They had a really good year,
and they just got Missouri State's quarterback too, which is no surprise.
Yeah,
but
right. So I think they're in the mix. Georgia State's not really. I don't think they've had a lot of overhauls, but they're having trouble.
Yeah, I know they get rid of their coordinators.
And I think Southern Miss is going to regress obviously after losing Huff. I mean Blake Anderson's good, but Louisiana, the West I think isn't going to change a whole lot, to be honest. So
the only thing we don't know about that is, does Louisiana Tech join next year? Is it 2027? That has not been ironed out yet.
Yeah, we don't know. It hasn't been confirmed. I've seen some things where they've talked about when we join the Sun Belt next year. And it's
we do know that Texas State will not be in the Sun Belt, so they're gone.
Yeah, so we'll have one less.
So it's either going to be one less team,
or we get rid of division.
I don't know. That's yet to be decided upon from what
that'll be a big storyline. If they get rid of divisions, that changes a lot.
You can get rid of it for 1 year?
I don't know. I mean, every other we're the only conference with divisions.
And now everybody's saying that they wish
we'd have 14 teams. Is it the Big Ten or the SEC has 18 teams? So I mean, they figured it out. I don't know.
ACC figured it out, but badly.
Yeah.
Badly. With the conference with probably the smartest schools and the smartest administration has the dumbest way to decide a tiebreaker.
Yeah. No, I know. I had to look up the other day of when Miami was playing. I was like, who did they lose to? Did they lose to Duke? They didn't even play Duke.
They lost to SMU and Louisville.
Yeah. Who beat JMU. Yeah. But
that's the other thing too. Louisville beat 2 teams in the playoffs, JMU and Miami.
They did.
All right, man.
But and Toledo almost beat Louisville. But all right. Well, yeah, I think that's it for now. We'll call it. It's late. We're going on 3 hours. We're almost black and gold. We'll cut some of it off. But all right, we'll pick it up. Most likely spring game. most likely, unless there's some kind of crazy news. Follow us on all the socials. That's where you'll see all the in-between
Yep.
stuff. Twitter is where we're most prominent, but we're trying to post more on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, again, like and subscribe on all the platforms, especially YouTube. And shout out to our sponsors, Can Cut Tools, in section 103. Thank you for your support, and thank you to all the fans for supporting
Yes.
us since 2018.
Thank you for the fans. Thank you for the sponsors. It's been a heck of a year. Not what we had hoped for, but ended it with a bowl victory. So there's that. That was good.
There's that. Yeah, it more momentum, I would say, more good feelings, good vibes going into the off season than we
Yep.
had, at least in the Clay Helton era. So that there's that to hang our
Exactly.
hat on. So we'll be trying to be as cautiously optimistic as we possibly can be. But yeah, more to come, more honest opinions. Armchair quarterback, all that kind of stuff to come. But we'll take a little break here. But thank you as always.
Take a little break. Unless Charlie Henry's basketball team keeps on winning basketball games.
That's right. Maybe we'll become a basketball podcast. Yeah, they're looking good. So, true. And hey, shout out to, I shouldn't know his name off the top of my head, but the men's soccer player.
Two of them.
Second, two of them, but highest overall draft pick ever in any sport in Georgia Southern history. Number 2 overall in the MLS draft. That's huge, man. They moved up. Dallas FC moved up to get the kid.
Well, that is awesome. And
That's
two,
awesome.
To me, I wish our athletic department would have hyped that up a lot more than what they did. Because like you said, that is a huge accomplishment. Second overall pick in any draft. Baseball, basketball, football, soccer.
And MLS isn't like, MLS is big. I get it. It's not NFL or NBA or whatever. Like it's fourth tier, but like
it's still
a big American league at this point. They're on Apple TV. They're on major linear networks. Like it's a huge league.
No, I mean, again, anytime you're getting drafted 1 or 2 in any sort of professional athletic league, that's something to be commended. I don't care if it's soccer. I don't care if it's baseball or if it's something like lacrosse or even something less watched.
I would say soccer even more than baseball because baseball has like 17 minor leagues.
Exactly.
Like so many levels. Like you're like, oh yeah, that guy got drafted number 1 overall 7 years ago.
Exactly.
He made it.
So.
But like, there's
like I don't ever remember any soccer player from Georgia Southern getting drafted, let alone 2. Let alone,
dude, we were
one of them getting drafted number 2 in the whole thing.
Lee Squires has and he got extended, so congrats to him. But like, man, he put us on the map. Like that,
and they got robbed out of the NCAA.
Completely robbed.
It came down. If you don't know it. NCAA tournament for men's soccer came down to us and Notre Dame for the last at-large spot. They put in Notre Dame,
brand recognition,
even though we had a higher quality win than Notre Dame, and Notre Dame had a worse loss than we did in their schedule
and higher strength of schedule.
Yeah, there's a lot of metrics. There was a lot of things that we beat them on.
I want to say about like 30 or something. It's not like football. Like we
obviously. Brand recognition won out, regardless of how much better that we were on paper.
Which is the common thread across all sports.
But there's a lot of momentum for men's soccer. I would say,
there is.
Lesson learned, don't lose in the quarterfinals of the Sun Belt tournament. It seems the Sun Belt is at least a 3 to 4 team league in the tournament every year. You definitely got to, regardless of how well the season goes, got to make sure you get yourself inside the semifinals.
Into the semis.
Yeah.
But yeah, and same with volleyball. Like they're not a 3 to 4 team league in volleyball, but like volleyball, same thing. Like dominant regular season, gotta find a way to get at least into the finals or something of the tournament. Men's basketball, same thing. We're not gonna get multiple teams in the Sun Belt. We're gonna have to, we're probably like on pace to win 20 plus games. But got to find a way to win the tournament. Women's basketball.
Same thing.
Dominating. Undefeated at home, I believe, still. But still.
Yeah, I think they had a tough OT loss up in ODU, but turn around and beat Coastal, I believe, today.
Yeah, they did.
So I think they're like 10-4 overall so far. But I will tell you what, the Sun Belt Women's League, I don't know if you looked at it is tough. Arkansas State beat Arkansas in that.
Arkansas State's good.
You have JMU's women basketball team who is went like 25-3 or something like that last year, or like
Yeah, isn't Louisiana good?
don't know about Louisiana. I know about Arkansas State. Troy's team I think is pretty good. They always have a good team. And now we're at least seeming to be competitive. I know that as of last week, there were, of the women's teams, 5 of them were in the top 100 in net rankings. If you don't know what the net rankings in for college football or for college basketball, it's what they primarily use when you're trying to determine at-large teams. Obviously, the higher you are, the better chance you're going to be at getting an at-large bid. So to have 5 teams from our conference in the top 100 is pretty impressive so far. So,
Yep, for sure.
All right.
Cool. Well, we'll call it at that. Yeah, something to look forward to post-football for sure, especially if you subscribe to ESPN Plus. Baseball will be underway here. We won't get into that. But yeah, Cuddy. Well, appreciate you, appreciate the fans, appreciate the sponsors. And yeah, looking forward to season 9 of Gata Talk. And with that, we'll end it how we always do, and it's Hail Southern, no place else.
Southern.
Man,